I don't see you, Stevie. Yeah, here you go. Looks like you're coming up.
How's it going, Michael?
Yo, what's up?
Good.
Michael. Michael.
Hey, Michael.
As we come to life here, twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. Give it a couple seconds to catch up to get the flow going. You know, it's the first of 2020, clear vision. We're here, infidels. It's the Mr. Hamita Cal from Staten Island. We'll be back after this message. Don't touch that dial. Rail, you do CMCs out for justice. Got our gunpowder and our muskets. Blow, shooting them off here, infidels. The fireworks rising high. If you believe in years, if you believe in time or any constraints, or if you believe that you're even here in this Matrix universe with the Conspiracy Horsemen, YALLA! Yeah, man, 2020. I think I was in bed by 10:30, so we're at that age, boys. I'm sure Stevie might have made it till 9. I think that's when the text stopped.
7:36 p.m.
Well, happy New Year, brother. Thank you for another great year of dedicated production and great creativity together. Thank you so much.
No problem. I mean, it's a concerted effort. The Hami Media Group keeps growing, and this is going to be a very, very interesting start to the 2020 episodes for the Conspiracy Horsemen.
I'm super excited about it, ready to get the heaters going, and we'll talk about it. And there's nobody who's got more heat than this guy. Go out and stand in your front yard when it's 20 below, melt the snow with his big, giant feet and his best friend at hand. They love just sitting out there in the snowbank. So if you see him, it's not the abominable snowman, it's the abominable snow Sal. How's it going, brother?
Oh, it's going good, man. We ain't got no snow here, man. This is the shits. Yeah, remember this time last year? We were out back.
Yep.
We were out back right before the show. We're hanging out in the snow and got none of it. None of it right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 40s, I think, the next 3 days, man.
The fuck is the 40s? It's nothing.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be not how you like it to cool you down.
Yeah.
I know you love that ice bath out there, but you know who else is straight out the sauna, straight out the Russian ice bath, getting his back whacked with all kinds of conifers, and who knows what else he's up to here on Ultra Kayfabe Edition. He's staying anonymous. It's our guy RussianVids, ready to put us back on the disco list. Conan and Disco are peeping around the corner, seeing what's going on. Welcome, man. Thank you for joining us, bro.
Oh, I appreciate that, Benjamin and Stevie and Sal, everybody. Thanks so much for having me on. It's the new year, and it's good to start off the new year with the Conspiracy Horsemen.
Yeah, man, we've been a big fan of your platform, and Stevie said, hey, you want me to reach out? I said, hell yeah, reach out, dude. So I'm glad we could get things together. So, Stevie, thanks for setting it up, man. Feel free to do some intros here and some backstory, but, keep it anonymous as possible. We don't want to pull the lucha mask off here.
Well, I've been friends with RussianVids for quite a few years. It has very little, actually. We have more in common, even outside of the conspiracy world, talking about video games, especially retro video games. And, RussianVids knows me as under my real name, so you probably slip up a few times and call me Michael. There's no kayfabe anymore. The CIA, all the letter agencies know my real name, so RussianVids, you don't have to worry about that.
I wonder if RussianVids has a stand-up arcade game box in his house.
Oh, I have one of these what do you call it, the 1 TB, or actually no, it's not one, it's 4 TB, full of arcade games. And
do you have it in like a cool a cabinet?
Actually just hooks up the back in any USB port, and it has it's its own external hard drive, and it has like every single arcade game, every NES, Super Nintendo, Japanese. Every system you can imagine.
What this asshole is saying is basically it's assembled. I have a disassembled arcade cabinet that's been in there for weeks. That's what he's saying.
Oh, boy.
So your way is probably way easier, RussianVids. You probably have much more fun playing your games as opposed to just cursing at the cabinet.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's super easy to put together. You just hook it up and then you just configure the buttons, and there you go. For each game, there's different configurations. But man, I'm playing Commodore 64. I'm playing Apple II. You name it. I'm playing it to the any arcade game you could imagine.
He's playing it right now while he's talking to us at the same time.
Let's just get in the flat Earth. Let's just stop.
Imagine doing that. That's crazy. I can't even imagine. Levels of fun he's having.
So if you know him, he's the red hot heater that everybody wants to book on their show, but the Conspiracy Horsemen got him, you guys. You've heard him. He's on the disco list right alongside us. He's the hardliner on Flat Earth, and you guys got to go subscribe to him on YouTube. Pretty easy to find, RussianVids. And, again, covers the gambit of conspiracy and mind control. And we're all in this ship together, where some people might want to marginalize or just stay in the middle or be the far Nancy Brown side. Hey, we got brothers over here who are going deep in these rabbit holes and doing some of the work that we can't do. And I think RussianVids is a specialist at that, and really feeds the conspiracy community with a lot of things that would just be very surface, just to be like, yeah, I know about that. I touched on that. He'll break it down, dive into it, and then show the mind control, the purpose, and the masters behind it. And I think that's kind of the trademark style that he brings to the online content creator of conspiracy theorists, truth seekers. And I just wanted to point that out. So if you're a fan of that, where a lot of videos have been scrubbed and we get a lot of messages, holy shit, I love this show, The Conspiracy Horsemen. Why did I have to search for it and find it? Well, there's a good goddamn reason for the YouTube algorithm. So we want to shine his channel. So if you're a subscriber of Stevie's or mine, get over there and search RussianVids and get to him now, you guys. Go ahead, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But go ahead, Stevie. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. It's just, it's fascinating because ever since we became friends online and started talking, and like I said, about different topics, video games, assembled or disassembled, Sal, it doesn't matter. We're all family. So, but there's still stuff that you bring up even to today in your videos, RussianVids, that we still can't wrap our heads around. I'm sure we'll touch on it. Mainly the number one thing for me, and we'll get into that section somewhere during the interview, is numerology. Is a rabbit hole that seems even too deep sometimes for, I think, us three, correct?
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, Strangler Steve enjoys that on our platform a lot. And, as you heard on Russo Brand last night, Benz is really into it as well on the Patreon, getting to the number 6. But aside from that, we just know kind of the basics and, some of the, I guess, Nation of Islam math that relates to in Wu-Tang, I would probably know as well. So,
yeah, numerology is extremely important. It's their way of communicating through numbers, signs, symbols, dates, and colors. That's their when you look at the Masons, basically handbook and their encyclopedia, they even mention how they learn how to communicate without speaking. So this is not a theory, it's a fact. They publicize it. And you got to really dig into the encyclopedia to find it, but it's there. So this is not something I'm just conjuring up out of thin air. That's the important thing about me. When I ever state something, I always have something to back up what I state, not just, people. That's the problem with the conspiracy. There's a lot of them just like, they'll make up stuff and there's no water to hold it. There's absolutely, that's the major issue. When it comes to conspiracies, we have to have something concrete, something solid to back up our claims.
And you do that very well, man. And before we even go into what your major focus is, which is, Flat Earth, JFK, I mean, you spin the gambit. We played, I didn't see it earlier, Stevie. I jumped on a little late. I think you played it because I'd ask you, which was from SecureTeam10, Tyler's, I don't want to say plea, but, Tyler's pretty much an anonymous figure like you are, the voice that everyone is familiar with, while showing the footage that's sent to him that, may mimic other footage from around the world, and just archiving this and then digging a little into conspiracy and never taking a hard line and holding anybody's feet to the fire. But he puts this video out saying that, he was in his bed. He wakes up in his car with the police shining a flashlight in his face, and he's taken in for DWI, and he doesn't drink at all. He says he may have 1 or 2 drinks a year on New Year's Eve, and this wasn't New Year's Eve or even the holidays. And, feels like it's a complete setup after he was told to shut down his channel. He doesn't get so specific in that, but then pretty much a week later, he says that the police show up and there was an anonymous tip that he was beating his wife. His wife is like, he never touched me, never would. And any of this, they take him anyway, is in most domestic cases.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What he was saying was, the call was that he was beating his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. Which he's married. Like I know it's a very minute detail.
That's interesting.
But whoever called it, he's married.
Good
It's
catch.
his wife, not his girlfriend. So it's not someone who knows him intimately.
Good catch. I missed that.
So
Then they take him away, and he says, did he say he did 4 or 5 days?
I thought it was almost 2 weeks.
Was it almost 2 weeks? I could be wrong in that.
I thought he had said 5 days, but again, that's not.
Regardless,
24 hours in jail.
Right.
And if you see Tyler's stature, we can walk around and be like, yeah, we're wrestlers. I mean, this guy is as, scared as you would possibly be. He'd be handed around like Skittles in jail. So, in fact, that might be his jail name is Skittles. I think that's a good jail name for him. But, dude said he was suicidal, a lot of PTSD, on antidepressants now, just to shake him out of his boots. And this is after he gets the big YouTube play button, fuck off, we love you, Tyler. And you think like, okay, if the UFO, release is going to be anywhere, it might be slow release through Tyler in this, but dude, a complete 180. But meanwhile, we're getting the most recorded UFO activity in the last months of November and December over major metropolises. We're getting a lot of talk of Space Force. The bills are signed into play. Let's just go around the horn, man, what we think about the Tyler thing and its genuineness, because it's got me kind of not shook, but like we have community to sound the alarm and lawyers are in place. And like Tyler didn't really have that with his anonymity. So if they, like I said, they want to come, they better come heavy. But that's just seems like they're cracking down on anybody and everybody after Alex Jones got unpersoned.
Okay, so I know back in how it seemed. Honestly, my days are blurred together. How long ago was it that we were all actually talking about Tyler going? Well, he pulls a lot of gimmick shit where he's like, "Oh, guys, I'm sorry this got taken down. I don't know what happened." And then he disappeared. Remember, he disappeared for a while. Everybody's like, "Oh, he was taken." And then it was some sort of a gimmick, and everybody was kind of like, "Meh."
There was another thing where there was people like on motorcycles outside or when he was on his motorcycle on the accident, and they were
iffy, and everybody was starting to question him about, is he doing this for a bit? Is this a secure?
Speaking of bits, sorry, I got to say shout out to the third hole. Just here, 2,000 bits. Boom.
Oofa.
Yeah.
Did Tyler work himself into a shoot? That's my question.
That's the thing. Like now he started doing these little bits. Now, what if somebody was just like, you know what? He's already laid the groundwork. And that was my thought immediately is this another thing? But all of that stuff is public access. You can find it out. You can go double check and see he was in jail. He did the time, et cetera, et cetera. My thought was, is this something that just got strung out a little further than expected?
Well, I would definitely defer this to RussianVids because no one has more experience having channels shut down, getting strikes, dealing with YouTube, initially he was one of the first YouTubers that I know of to really get shadow banned before shadow ban was even a term, get the channel shut down, have 2 to 3 backup channels. RussianVids, please tell the story because it's probably not quite over. Even just one quick fact, I checked your subscribers. Even after being shut down multiple times, you're still 27,000 subscribers. So people are still thirsting for alternative information. So go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Stevie. And that's absolutely correct on that. I mean, I've been around forever, going back to making truth videos on YouTube approximately 2008, 2009, with YouTube initially starting in 2005, getting the ball rolling. Once you get a lot of subs, it's really hard to get the ball rolling. Once you get about 8 or 9 to 10,000, and then you get to 20,000. Once you get about 20, 25,000, the ball starts rolling and subs just pick up like nothing else. This is what happens to me every time. Once I get about 75 to 80,000 subs, they cut the legs out of me. I had on one channel 83,000 subs. My backup at 75,000. Just one of the channels had 50 million views in a year. I would say a year and 3 months. And that's the thing is, again, it's hard for a real true channel to get over 100,000 subs. So if I would have stayed on one channel, the ball would have been rolling. I'd have over 1 million subs, I'm sure. So how many channels I've had? I've lost count. 30,000 one, 70,000 other, 83,000. And there's been many, many more. So Sometimes I start a channel at 1,500 subs, just like boom, overnight it's gone. So I don't know what's happening here. I think YouTube is like, look, this guy's gonna keep creating channels. What we're basically gonna do is we're just gonna shadow ban him. He's gonna be there. Go ahead.
That's what I want to ask you, Russian. Do you think there's somebody sitting at YouTube who knows your name? Obviously your name is known. You know, it's not something like, oh, this is a passing guy. I don't know who this is. But do you think there's the quality guy? I'm throwing up those air quotes. The quality guy at YouTube who's like, Russian vids again. Fuck this guy. And he's like, now he has a thing just to make sure. Fuck him. Like, is it that sort of thing? Have you had interaction with the people over there to be like, look, asshole, why am I losing subs? Why? Because I know Stevie does it, but that's because of his content. Doesn't stay in his lane. But like for you,
King, if he would have got the video game machine done, they'd have the subs.
Yeah, we could. Everybody would have been like, great, cool, or finish that fucking
done.
Hackintosh. Yeah, that'd be great. But like somebody like you, you're professional, you have your shit together. Has it ever been a back and forth between you and YouTube to be like, hey, guys, what the fuck? Give me some answers. So now they're just like, well, this guy, they know your name. They see Russian vids and they're like, fuck.
Sal, you hit the nail on the head there, pal. Basically what happened was I've emailed them many times. I've called them. I lived in San Mateo, California, just a few miles from the headquarters. I actually called them and said, look, what's the situation? I went back and forth. I was like, do I need to show up and talk to someone there? They hung up the phone on me. I kid you not. So, yeah, and also, too, of course, they know who I am because, basically what happened was in 2017, I called a day before the so-called London attacks. And what happened was I said, look, tomorrow's 322. This is, big with Skull and Bones Freemasonry with 322. And what happened was something went down the next day when I made that prediction. The Daily Mail UK reported me to YouTube and I was shut down. Also, here's an example. Just throwing this out there. I did a podcast talking about the Orlando shooting hoax. And of course, I covered Sandy Hook. So what happened was I did a podcast regarding that. And then ABC News Australia had a documentary about Orlando and the connection with Sandy Hook, how supposedly these parents are being harassed. And what happened was they played a sound clip for my podcast. I'm like, wow, without my permission, just out of nowhere. And I said, these shootings are fake. Just a quick blip, but it just shows they're listening in when they're playing that, of course, to this national audience in Australia. So I've been covered, not to go into long, I've been covered Australian news, France 24, UK Daily Mail, Canadian news, and all over the United States and other countries as well. And it's just, getting to my point, YouTube definitely knows who I am. The big, when you're close to the truth, they know who's speaking. They know, they know exactly who I am. I have zero doubt about it. I don't want to toot my own horn, but being the original truthers on YouTube, they definitely know who I am.
Yeah.
How's
shadow
banning me now?
How's bragging camp going for you, by the way?
I'm sorry?
I said, how's bragging camp going for you, by the way?
Yeah, and I love the Saudi vids. I love that. The Russian vids, the Saudi vids. We should have the Stevie vids.
That's right, man.
And the Sal vids.
You're in the locker room now for officially when Ben starts busting your balls.
I'm going to say anything in the beginning. I saw that right away. I'm going to leave that alone. I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Man. No, man, 100%. Like, that's really, when's the strikeout happen? When is the YouTube summit where they get to say who's over versus the people where it was supposed to be content creators, where we get to get this face-to-face of some answers? Because they did hire supposedly 10,000, people just to sit there and go through content, and look how many people got demonetized or get flagged for whatever. So there absolutely is a 2 intern or whatever, somebody full-time team just to clock Russian vids, probably look up Russian.
Yeah, but Ben,
go ahead.
We did the story where we read the story a couple of weeks ago where they're actually starting to believe that the YouTube videos that they're watching,
right?
They're turning people.
So yeah, victory heals over strong all day long, right there, man. So that just goes to show, like, the quality. I mean, you get a fairly amount of emotion in yours where we're trying to, I don't know, we get definitely emotional. I'm not going to say we don't, but especially about some certain things that are just ridiculous. But
Stevie knows how I'm a hothead, and he's pretty level-headed, but if you push his buttons the wrong way, he can explode, of course, as well.
Sure.
But I'm always a hothead. It just takes doesn't take much to set me off. You know.
Well, I wanted to you hit Sandy Hook there, and that was something else because we talked about this, not like Horseman the movie or anything like that, but we're in the cut here because kind of with our hands tied. Where I've called Leonard Posner's lawyer twice on air, and he picked up once and sent a request, but Leonard Posner, they're in the middle of the Fetzer suit, and we've had sorry, what's his name in Florida? Wolfgang Helbig on 3 times now to talk Sandy Hook and to talk Las Vegas, you know, Diary of a False Flag. And Wolfgang has as much credentials as you could possibly get. And we talked the Marty Leeds documentary, Dear Wolfgang. We've downloaded it because it's been taken down so many times. Now here we are after like a precedence being set of $100,000 that Alex Jones just had to pay out. Fetzer getting sued. Wolfgang saying Posner isn't even a real person, and Posner's job is to scrub the internet. Other things that, you know, people moving out of Sandy Hook, the payoffs, the Christmas Day houses paid off. Like here we are as the Conspiracy Horsemen, 4 wrestlers. Now precedents are set for lawsuits. We are just looking at it as like, what is our First Amendment right as journalists and truth seekers to even ask and say questions at this with all of this evidence lying around us in a whirlwind where we're just trying to compile it and say, Jesus, how do you even look at anything anymore objectively without putting yourself in a liable position? You know, to even talk about why were the porta potties ordered far ahead of time? Why are first responders eating lunch inside the school while there's dead bodies down there? Why are the kids being taken out in the middle of the night where their parents didn't even get to see them? You know, like everything against protocols. Like to say that and ask the wrong person could instantly make you lawsuit liable after this Fetzer shit's been set up. Now Fetzer's even more hot button than you are as far as the way he gets his shit in. But, you know, it's something we need to have in an open dialogue, because if we just cower in the corners, that's them winning, you know.
I'm going to defer to RussianVids after I make this point.
Go ahead.
I think the one thing you missed, Ben, that he got hottest about, and it's one of the videos I think that got a ton of views before the shadow banning, was the father that was laughing and then went into the
Sandy Hook
crying act. That got you pretty hot, didn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, I can get into that and the whole Sandy Hook. You know, the foundation of this with Adam Lanza supposedly being the perpetrator. You know, this is how they do it. They give us options A and B. There's also, if you guys remember, there's also supposedly a man wearing camouflage pants walking through the woods.
Saw him on overhead. We saw him on Chopper. Yep. You saw him pursuing him if you were watching live.
Yeah, the thing is, that's what they do, though. It's like politics, voting for A or B or none of the above. It wasn't Adam Lanza. It wasn't the guy in the forest. It was 100% hoax. Here's the thing is, I looked at Sandy Hook. I covered it extensively after it all went down. We don't see a single bullet hole in any of the classrooms. There's not a drop of blood of evidence of anything. Everybody's supposedly covering this in the mainstream media. None of them were there. They're all sitting behind a desk reading off a teleprompter. So they say, oh, the news stations are covering it the same way. They're all reading off a script. None of those people have been there. All these Christ actors, Stevie mentioned it earlier with Robbie Parker, the father, smiling and laughing a day after the supposed the massacre and supposedly losing his daughter, 6 years old. Here's a big thing.
There's a sign-in thing. You can see the overhead of them cycling through the firehouse in just a circle pattern of like keeping the kids, like, you know.
I cover that as well.
So even 16 guys on a SWAT team go through a hole in a window into the office instead of opening the door. One goes through and comes and opens the door for the rest of them. 16 guys supposedly went through a 2x3 hole with broken glass. Come on, man. Like,
and just a small, really inconsequential fact of mold. You have mold in a school that is supposed to be active, which, and I don't know anyone in that town. I can't say this. I'm trying 2020. I'm trying to be very careful of what I say. I'm trying to be very careful of people's feelings. I don't know anyone who lives in this town. But I can imagine. every pain in the ass Yenta mom knowing about mold in that school, yanking those children out of that school immediately.
Yeah.
They would run down to that school in their yoga pants to pick those kids up to say, no, my little genius will not be affected by your mold, let alone have an entire school in a place where there's mold up to the wainscoting on a wall.
And then we had the follow up with even later when Wolfgang's trial was coming up to be able to actually get Posner on the stand, which they pulled back from. It was like, right, 2 days beforehand, and they bailed when he was going to get his questions. He was ready to go down with the ship on that motherfucker. And then, you know, they pull out so we don't get to see Posner yet again, which makes it more suspect, man, that he's this shadow guy. And was that where the evidence was released that there were like all the lunches that should have been shipped to that school during that time period were going to some other school. So it there were no kids there. Like, why would you ship the lunches that were meant to go to that school to another middle school that was 20 miles away or whatever, I guess it was. So
There's many big points. There's many big points I want to interject here. Very important. There's research done on internet activity at Sandy Hook, and that coincides with it being not active. It just picked up just prior to this all going down. Huge aspects of a lot of these sites are connected. And for example, if you guys know about, of course, with the case down in Tasmania, Australia, with Martin Bryant. Now, here's the thing: is there's a lot of connections here. He went to a Newtown high school, and that set up gun control in Australia. So you have a Newtown in Connecticut. You have a Newtown in Tasmania, Australia, which Martin Bryant attended. Of course, that's why they have gun control in Australia. Here's a big thing too. There's a guy named his surname is Barton, and this guy before Sandy Hook even went down, he supposedly rode his bike from Sandy Hook going cross country. Just so happened to be in the Aurora Theater at the Century 16 to watch Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, and he's supposed to get shot up. So what happens after that? You have Sandy Hook. So a lot of these events are connected. Like, for example, not to go on too long, I tend to do that. But for example, Columbine, you had Eric Harris and the other teenager.
Klebold, yeah.
And they have a diary about how they're going to, in the diary they supposedly find, they said, we have plans to land, to hijack a plane and crash in New York. They're putting a subconscious seed of what's to come with a lot of these events. So what I'm getting at real quickly, and I can go into more detail later on, is a lot of these events coincide and they're all connected by the psychopaths behind it all.
That's interesting because I've always, and this is me being wrong, I forgot about that point, in Sandy Hook because I watched that unfold live too. And then the follow-up in college when I was studying that, and that did stick out. But at the time, there wasn't the Diary of a False Flag where it became, this is what we're going to do from Boston to where we are in Vegas to, Florida to wherever shooting you want, nightclubs to schools at this point.
Let's not forget two different points about this that are interesting. The coroner, which I don't know all the details of, but his death is very mysterious, and the way he came off as a bumbling goof, and if I remember correctly, in his press conference on site.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like this was the first test of social media shadow banning, where they said, if you post anything besides what the official news says, you'll be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Do you guys remember that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's Dr. Carver, by the way. It's a play on names with a coroner named Carver, like he's carving up people. The guy's laughing, Stevie, as we all know, and Sal and Ben Heyman.
Yep.
He's laughing throughout the whole press conference. It's a big joke. And you see that big head swing he does? He goes, he was asked, what were the kids wearing? Oh, kid stuff. Just a joke. And, here's the thing is, too, going back to Aurora, it was the Batman theater shooting. You had that Holmes character with the orange hair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you go to, say, the Boston bombing. It was Joker, like the Joker, Tsarnaev. Then you had the Bataclan shooting with the Batman theme. And you had, someone drive all the way from, I think it was Sweden or Netherlands, wearing a Batman shirt. So they have this Batman theme going on with basically Joker. The Joker's a psychopath, and that's key to who's running the show, or basically psychopaths playing with the masses like their children.
Well, you're getting that now in the Watchmen with the Rorschach covered faces. I mean, we know this Operation Mockingbird plant stuff as much as it is just to create hysteria through trauma-based mind control. It's MK Ultra on a mass scale, whether it's 9/11 or what have you. I guess, you know, when it comes back to the Sandy Hook thing, it's like, can we look at everything we just laid down? I mean, that's 5 shows worth, or if it was Monday Night Raw, 2 shows worth. You know, like 5 shows worth of being able to, like, let's dissect it. But if we're to go and follow up on those houses being paid off, to follow up on the porta potties, to follow up on the people who moved out of there, the kid who's running for Congress now in Connecticut who says his brother was killed. Like,
and what about, I hate to interject, what about the big piece of the puzzle? After this all went down, we see no blood, just no single bullet hole in any classroom. They demolished the whole school. That's a big key factor. They don't want anybody snooping around there like, hey.
Same with his house. Same with the house of Lanza.
Yes.
And even you saw the bedroom pictures of where he supposedly shot his mom. It looked like a wine stain, man. It didn't look like any. It didn't.
Ridiculous.
It didn't look like any type of real murder scene, dude.
And here's the deal, okay? On the other side, let's look at this. Let's take away all conspiracy theories. Let's look at this from the straight side of this. There are people who would 100% go to the school for souvenirs. Number one, that is a business of morbid souvenirs. Yeah. They would go to his house just to get a shot of the house, or a piece of that house, or a bullet, or cut out a piece of plaster. That shit is business.
I get that. That's a great point of view on the other side, but there's also the side of erase the fucking trail, get rid of it 9/11 style, ship it out, get it the fuck out of here so no one knows where he even lives.
This is what that's what I'm saying. Like, it's these weird little things that have nothing to do with it that expose the shit that is wrong.
Sure.
Because these people track that shit down. Yeah. And I do want to say there's a whole other side where these guys have, the mass shooters have fans. They have women who are just fucking dripping over them. And they find every little minute detail about these assholes, and they blow it up huge.
Let's talk about other realities too. This kid is fucking we're right at the time of Big Pharma. He's Asperger's, he's this or he's that. Right. But his mom's buying him heavy heat. And there was even the fact that he came in with a shotgun, or did he have a fucking AR-15, the hot gun that every fucking shooter's got?
Every killer has.
That they want to fucking ban.
Well, he had Asperger's, I said too. So you had the connection with Adam Lanza, and Martin Bryant, both having the same conditions. One other huge aspect with all these psyops and hoaxes is we have to remember what happens. They all show up a day after an event, and no one says, you know what, I want to have a family representative speak on our behalf. We are in mourning. We want our privacy. None of these people do this, in real life.
Yeah.
This is what would happen,
No, they're not even. They don't even look shell shocked, especially after we see the father with the laughing gimmick. You're just like, holy shit, bro.
Let's talk about school too, because in this country, we don't demolish things to forget about them. We build shrines to always remember, to never forget. Yes. If that were the case, they would have never rebuilt the towers, because it would have been too painful to see towers there remind us every day. They demolished Jeffrey Dahmer's house. They would have destroyed Columbine. They would have demolished that. It's very odd when you look at how that stood out, as opposed to
Parkland's not getting demolished, right? Parkland's not getting demolished.
No, it's not. Neither is Pulse nightclub or anywhere else where we had these crazy shootings that, man, it's just too painful.
And that hotel, I think, in Vegas, that's still there, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I wanted to get back to real quick, because Sal's a weapons guy too, and so am I. You're talking about 110-pound Asperger's, mommy's boy left on the tit till he was 4 years old type dude, fucking coming in strapped heavy with fucking bandoleros, a shotgun shells, armor. Fuck out of here. Same as Parkland hitting the Uber, and he's going to show up full fucking Kevlar body gear, get strapped up before he goes in. When we were said there was 2 shooters there as well, and they're taking something out the back, right? We saw the SWAT team kayfabing something into a fucking pickup truck, and off that goes. under a tarp. Like,
have any of you guys ever wore a gas mask?
yeah.
Like, you ever tried one on and put the seal on the whole bit?
Yes.
And how would you say it? Would you go and do a workout in a gas mask?
No, it sucks.
It's an elevation mask, of course.
Well, you got your little Bane mask on.
Yeah. No, a real.
Darth Vader.
Come here, Odin.
Fitness, I was
Come here,
born
Odin.
for
I love
fitness,
you,
I
boy.
return.
Baby boy, Odin.
So, but that's the thing. You're going to tell me this little fucking nerd is going to put this gas mask on and then carry in all the hardware and be like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
No, man, it's not going to happen.
Not gonna, dude. It just don't fit. It just don't. And then the mom smoked too, and now all that's left is the brother who they confused him with out of the gate, right? And the same as you could look at the brother in fucking Las Vegas shooting. They fucking, remember they pinned child porn on him? You saw the pic of him in the van. Off he goes, not to be heard from again. So the loose ends get tied up with these fucking brothers that they're half pinning it on, that any normal detective or journalist would want to follow up just in a case study of who these psychopaths and sociopaths are. But we can't even think about contacting them without being under extreme scrutiny or being.
And again, when we talked about the hotel, when that guy didn't do it, when again Disco dropped the fucking ball, he did not go down to the parking lot and dig out one shell.
Yeah,
he did not take a phone picture of one bullet hole in that ground, but they repaved the parking lot. Weird.
Well,
So I blame Disco on that one. He shit the bed.
Yeah, Disco's a big idiot, by the way. He has us on the list.
yeah,
Same
let's
with
do it right
Conan.
here. Let's do it. Here's your shoot. Here's your promo cut
Here's
right
our
here.
clip.
Russian Vids
Hami
shoots
Media
on.
Group.
Yeah, Hami Media Group. Russian Vids shoots on Disco and Conan. Get him, man.
Well, I know my good friend Stevie here is Italian, and I don't want to say his name. I apologize in advance, but I used to call Disco a meatball. You know.
Well, Sal was
He
in the
deserves it,
FBI.
though.
He's full-blooded Italians too. So
But
I'm
the
not
whole-
from
the-
Philly like Stevie is.
No.
So.
Yeah,
South
I know.
Philly.
I'm just messing. But the whole thing with those two goons, Disco and Conan. I mean, this is what gets me, and I said this many times. Where this world stage, where I said it, where basically politics and wrestling, they're like mirrored, they're parallel, and it's the same thing. They're talking about politics like it's all legit, it's all in the up and up, and these people are involved with the business should know. There's bookers for a lot of these things that are happening in this world stage, and I think more recently Conan sort of getting it, but Disco, he's just. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this nicely. He's just basically brain dead. He doesn't have
It's
a
just
clue.
amazing because that guy he's cynical about each and everything. And you would think this is the thing that Sal, Ben, myself, Papadon went through in separate locker rooms over the past decade or so. The fact that we expected wrestlers to think they're getting worked all the time by promoters, by people with money, by whoever they come across within the wrestling business are sometimes the hardest to convince that the government or any other agency or people in power or even just media that they're watching is not true. It's so weird, right, Ben?
Yeah,
But
you hit the nail on the head, Stevie. What it comes down to is this, and I said it before. The bottom line is this: these politicians, it's like the pro wrestlers. They might not all be friends, be on the best terms, but they must work together. And there's people behind the scenes pulling the strings that are directing this. So you might hate someone personally, but you got to work with them. That's the same thing with the politicians. I'm not saying every single politician loves they're best friends, but they must work with each other. In some cases, like what I believe with Trump and Hillary Clinton, they have photos going back to the 80s. You see the kids all together. You see you see like in magazines quotes of Trump saying how Hillary Clinton's a marvelous woman. You see photos going to more recently, 2005. It's not that recent, but 2005, where you see the Clinton family at Trump's wedding with Melania Trump. So these people are friends in this case, and it's all theater. We're seeing when they're all having these debates and arguments. And what happened to I'm going to send Hillary to prison? People have a short memory, short-term memory. They don't remember things like that. It's just so much new things are happening. They forget about what was said just a year ago, 2 years ago, even months ago, and it just carries on to more nonsense.
Boom.
Yeah.
And a lot of things Trump says, or even Obama will say, just to outrage the left or the right, just to get your emotions involved. And you basically, when you have your emotions involved, you're not thinking with your brain. You're reacting to things.
Oh, don't tell me you haven't spent $65,000 on hot dogs for a party. I know you have.
That is my favorite. Okay, let me. I want to throw this out there, real quick. So when people are
Gotta stop you real quick.
You go ahead.
You stop trying to be careful with your words. You sound when you were describing these women and everything, the moms and the yoga pants, you sound exactly like you did in 2019. So just get to it.
Yeah.
Don't take your Skip Bayless deep breath, like on Undisputed.
No, well, okay. So the thing I'm finding more exhausting as of late is the level of hypocrisy that people are throwing out. And again, this comes down to the fact that Russian nails it when everybody's working together. So you get to throw the rib out when you're in public and you're doing your public speech. Okay. And you get to, well, pardon me, and we'll see if I'm elected president. And everybody gets the big laugh about it. Okay, terrific. Everybody, yes, they're all still friends. They're going to kayfabe, but they're not going to ride up to town together in the same car. Fair enough. Done. But to sit here and then want to watch these people on the low level, and this is where we are. Okay, we are the people. I use people on Facebook, for example. These people making zero impact in the world, who want to post up and we need to impeach Trump, we need to do this, we need to do that, and then when you bring up the $65,000 in hot dogs, what does that mean? Does that mean anything? It's alternative facts. You're just smoke screening Trump. No, man, it's all together. All of it is government. All of it is our government, the people we elected and the people we put into power. We did that. We put them there. You're making zero impact. All you're doing is alienating your fucking people in your life.
Well,
because you're separating yourself from everyone else and saying you're wrong for having this thought. You're wrong for having this thought. But you know what? Everybody has to do their own thing. Everybody has to be free. Everybody gets to express themselves. Nope, not that way, because you're doing it wrong. And that's all that's coming out of this. You're making, these assholes are making zero impact on the government. They're making zero impact on our world. All they're doing is blowing up their personal space around them. And it's not helping anybody. And it just polarizes a nation that hates itself already.
So, well, the big thing you just said there, Sal, is polarization. And basically that's what it's about. It's keeping us fighting each other. It keeps the eyes off those that rule. And that's why, people are fighting over. It's like people watching Hogan versus Piper, and there's people fist fighting in the stands. That's what's happening with these politicians as well. It's, again, a mirror of society. So wrestling is a microcosm of this world. That's why the people that run this world, they love wrestling.
Well, here's an interesting thing because I like what you're saying right here, because I think Biden's super fucked, right? We've seen these things getting hijacked where he's doing these little town halls, whatever, his VFW high school gym outside with Tony Khan or whatever the fuck. And, he's out there. And all of a sudden, somebody who's kind of quiet lets him get into his shit, stands up and goes, "You touch kids. Stop touching children and women inappropriately." And then it's way awkward and the person gets escorted out and then they let him go. And then all of a sudden somebody goes, Joe pro quo, for all the bullshit that they've got behind Russian vids deals. I'm not saying that you sponsored him specifically or hooked his kid up or anything, but like, I'm thinking to myself, and as we talk wrestling and that, I go, and I was talking to Strangler Steve and showing him videos back and forth because he loves this shit too when people get blasted like that, is, why isn't Vince doing that to AEW? If they had two plants hard cam side in the crowd with some hardcore signs, you know what I mean? Or things like that, or vice versa. And you could thwart somebody's whole wrestling show with just some simple bomb drop propaganda. And I think that's not just the locals who are against Joe Biden and want to be pro-Trumpers. I think that's opposition paying some would-be crisis actors to go in and do a 10-second stand-up promo on camera that's going to go viral, $300 a pop, you know what I mean? And that's it. Send them to the next town or get 2 more. It's going to be easy to do for $600. You just fuck this guy out of the presidency and got a viral campaign out of it, man.
Do you remember the vid of when Clinton was doing this bit? And the guy was like, "What about Lolita Express?" And then he was like, I don't know. What are you doing there? Ha ha. And everybody laughed at it. And they were like, Bill Clinton, you're funny. Yeah. And like, they threw this poor fuck out.
Yep.
And everybody was kind of still going, oh, well, I don't know. And then Bill threw out a couple jokes to smooth it right over.
Yeah, but it's not that time right now, though, bro.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, those days are come and gone. This Teflon dude. Bill was just, I'll tell a joke.
That famous joke. He said, "What do you have when you have 4 15-year-olds on a plane flying internationally? Me on the plane."
Wow. Strong, man.
The Clinton voice.
It was a goddamn good attempt, Stevie. Don't beat yourself up.
He's hard to mimic for sure.
Don't beat yourself up and find yourself on the train tracks down there with Billy Jack. Go ahead.
You know what's funny is people don't talk about this, but I say it all the time where throughout all the lies, they're going to give us hints of truth. In Bill Clinton's 2004 book, autobiography, My Life, Bill Clinton, there's a section where he talks about the moon landing. And he goes, I was watching it on TV with my carpenter. And he says out of nowhere, basically, I think those television fellers can just fake things. They're faking this. And Bill Clinton said in his book, I thought the guy was a crank. But in my time in the White House, I saw things that made me see he was ahead of his time. So they're giving us little hints. They're faking this. They're faking that. And this is the funny thing is I investigate things thoroughly. I wanted to use an audio clip from his audio book. Guess what? It's deleted. He doesn't even have it part of his audio book, but it's in his printed book. Anybody can look this up. It's not something that I'm pulling out thin air, that he's talking about the moon landing and again about his carpenter and him saying it's fake. But it's again, nothing's hidden. There's a lot of quotes. A huge one is by the former UK Secretary of State, Dennis Healey. He said this back in the 60s where, world events do not happen by accident. They're meant to happen, and they're staged by those that hold the purse strings for national and commerce issues. So throughout all the lies, they'll just give us like little bits, little pieces here and there that people need to, really investigate. You have a Bill Nye talking about how we live in a closed system. We can't go anywhere. They don't go on to rumble about how they're doing amazing things in space. So through all the lies, they're going to throw us little bits that people need to pick up on. A huge one is, of course, with Space Force and Donald Trump, where he says, he's talking in front of all these astronauts and people in the White House about Space Force. He just signed the deal. Then he goes on to say, people are going to look back and say, how do we do it without space? Okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? He knows the Earth is flat with the firmament. He knows this. So he's just mocking. They're just a bunch of mockers, and again, getting back to voting, why would they give a bunch of, I hate to say this, a bunch of deceived idiots a say in anything when they're the ones pulling off this mass setup? Oh, we're going to let these idiots, we're just mocking all the time. We're just making fun of. We're going to let them have a say.
Whoa! Those women fought hard for the right to vote. I don't appreciate you just calling them idiots out here. That's not.
Speaking of which, we got this coming in right now that Arkansas carpenter commits suicide by shooting himself
nail
in the
gun
back of the head with a staple gun 17 times
nail gun
before hanging himself in the garbage bin.
That's just it right there. That's the power of RussianVids.
That's a good segue to go with what you're talking about.
Well, the segue is this. I'm not going to sit here and let's go around the horn. Bill Clinton still sexy in 2020. You guys are not. Yes or no? Sal.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Stevie's still sexy.
Depends on the over under on how many people he's raped so far in 2020.
Okay. Russian.
I'm going 10.
10. RussianVids, Kevin Spacey or Bill Clinton for you?
Oh my goodness, Spacey, just for the name of space, and I guess just for the sake of it.
Oh, he's still sexy.
How did we do it without Spacey?
Spacey forced himself on me. Yeah, go ahead, Stevie. Take it, Stevie.
No, this is a great segue because this is kind of the calling card and kind of the most polarizing part of your channel. And we played something on the pre-show having to do with Google Maps and satellites. I want to start at the very beginning of this, though, and even back up before the YouTube channel. What was we all had a moment, together we're having a moment right now, but yes. Events. But what was the moment that you saw the world for what you see it as today? And also, how much did you resist when you finally opened your eyes up and you were just like almost trying to unsee what you were seeing with fresh eyes?
That question is to be, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, that's actually an excellent question. The bottom line is, when I was very young, I remember watching the Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan debate on TV with my parents, and I can see these people are plastic. They aren't real. It's just like they're reading off a script. It just didn't pass the smell test. Even as a young child, I didn't know the words for it, but I can see it was like a play. And then, as a young child, going through school, I was never one to work so hard to try to fit in. When you're one of these people out there that's, everybody works hard to be liked and accepted by their peers in school, society, you're going to be basically leaning, because of the fact that you want to be liked and accepted, just go with the, become a sheep, be part of the crowd, be part of the group. I didn't care about that. I didn't care about if I made friends or not. I just did my own thing. So it comes down to people in society, they work, again, hard to be liked and accepted. When you don't care what other people think, you can see things objectively. You're not influenced by other people's opinions. You look at things clearly. So that gets to, for example, me looking at a globe, over the years, I said, how can all this water stick to the side of a ball? It just seems absolutely ludicrous. But then I look at the flat earth model. Well, water will fall over the side. I guess it must be a ball by default. So not to go too long, I can throw in, well, we didn't know about the ice walls, the outer Antarctica hold the oceans in. But it's what it comes down to is, you're not going to buy the nice car. You're not going to buy the sun rays sunglasses and all the nice stuff, and then become a flat earther to be popular. It doesn't jive. You got to be able to, again, not give a damn and just call things out for what they are. And I know a lot of people, like, they'll say something in front of me, but when they're questioned in front of someone else, they'll change their flow a little bit to just to please that person. And I was never one to do that. So a lot of fakes, a lot of phonies. And again, people just wanting to fit in, belong. And, these people are smart. You see on TV talking about this universe, these planets. And I want to be smart too. So I'm just going to regurgitate what they say, and I'll come up as smart in society as well. So the bottom line is this, not to go on too long, is, you talk about, for example, flat earth. I talk to a lot of people that believe in the ball earth. They don't even know their own model, that we're not supposedly living on this spinning ball that's rocketing through space at 500,000 miles an hour, that's spinning at 1,100 miles an hour, also orbiting the sun at 70,000 miles an hour. They don't know any of this. They don't, there's not a single school textbook out there that gives the dimensions of this ball earth. There's not a single one. People can look it up. They can go to any library, look up what's the dimensions of the curvature rate of this ball earth. They won't know. So again, to wrap it up, basically, people just go along with the program, go along with consensus. Consensus must be right. Here's the thing is this, last thing here, one point. At 5 years old, we walk into a classroom where, we ask a teacher, we see a globe, how does the water stick at the bottom? They tell us that magic word, gravity. And after 5 years old, you never question again. There's not a group of kids in first or second grade. No, they don't question. So a 5-year-old whose mind is just developing, they're being programmed at this very, very young age. And they're not in the position to even question anything. They're just being spoon-fed this information. So as a child, they grow up from 5 years old to adulthood, not going back and question that again. And there's a huge stigma, a bad stigma placed on flat earth. That's to keep people away from the truth.
Wow, I can't believe you just called out Disco and Conan like that.
Oh yeah, exactly. You just nailed it right there, Sal. And,
you just went over keeping it 100, like verbatim.
Yeah, well, Sal, I always say this: ego is the biggest enemy of truth. Once people have a stance, once people have a position, and they're firm on it, and they have this, this massive ego. I have a good feeling of what's going on in this world, and I have a good grasp of things. And once that's like, you chip away at it with, like, say, flat earth or 9/11 or moon landing, it's like you're attacking them subconsciously. They don't realize that their ego is being damaged. It's like, how dare you insinuate that I'm deceived? How dare you even propose that to me? Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. It's ego. It's an ego thing.
Yeah, how dare you, Sal?
RussianVids, I just don't want to ruin your 2020, but don't expect that $88 ticket from Disco.
Oh, not going to happen. Yeah, that's another thing too. I said, Conan, have me on your show. I'll destroy both you goons. he's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'll just tear him to shreds.
Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I can get it. We'll get it booked.
Away.
We'll get it booked. They wouldn't keep name dropping us on a disco list if they didn't want that heat. And if they weren't closet, like wanting to come around, peek around the corner and be like, what are the real heads talking about? They wouldn't be saying nothing. So we see you, Dunny, and it's heels over strong all day long. There's no doubt about it. So anytime you're ready to bring the kazoo, and you know who is talking right now.
It's very interesting psychologically. I don't know quite what the diagnosis for it would be with people in general, not just Disco and Conan or anybody else, but the cognitive dissonance of people who say, like, we know we're not going to agree on everything. We've had many episodes of Sal and Ben against me and Papadon with faith versus atheism. The couple episodes ago went on for over an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was great at the end.
With transhumanism mixed in on the basis of the theology. Yeah, sure.
Deep stuff. But the thing is, not that we're anybody different. I mean, we're fucking smooth brains to some extent. Sure. But we sit here every week and we can disagree respectively and then go on and have another episode. Long story short, people seem to, like, when they talk to each other, it's like, all right, I agree with 99% of what you say, but I'm looking for that 1% so I completely discredit you and I feel smarter. I don't understand the loss of information just for the fact that you can come out to put your thumb down on somebody.
The better strategy is to go, I don't know, fuck all, but whatever you're telling me, I'm ready to listen to, and then go, oh, that you're so fucking dedicated to it. What about this one thing? And pull that sweater thread just a little bit. And boy, they can't handle it when that shit starts to unravel, isn't it? Because if you don't take a hard line and you're just the open-minded optimist or cynical person, you don't want to be a hardline cynicist because that's just going to shut down any chance of you opening their mind up. But that's really what it is. You're either you can be half pregnant with it, but to spit some shit to downplay RussianVids, us, or whatever, you just want to be part of the clique, whether it's AJ Styles, Larry Johnson, who's going way out of his lane, right? In the NFL, big money to be saying the shit that he's saying on Twitter right now as well. I wanted to lay this down, RussianVids, because, you know, people can go follow your channel and you've broken down so many different aspects of flat Earth. And, you know, with the firmament, we've looked at it, talked about the ice wall, keeping the oceans in. We talked about the symbolism from the UN to the Masonic maps that we've looked at. Is there something farther outside of the ice wall, this Atlantis, these paradises we've been told in mythology? And is gravity us moving, even if it's in a coin or, you know, like... I guess Sal, what's the movie where it's like the floating pieces of land in the air?
Discworld?
Yeah, like that type of Discworld, like a coin, where we're moving up in a galaxy, even if it is a firmament, something can
Terry Pratchett.
You know, some pressure pushing down on us. We've studied Saturnalia and Saturn being our sun, and that's why gravity was lessened and there were massive trees and, you know, all of these different conspiracies that I'm sure you're familiar with. I just want to put that out there. Is there anything past the ice wall, or is that where a real hard snow globe firmament ends? And is gravity, because of some force we are in the universe, pushing down on us as we move up?
Yeah, great questions there, Benjamin. I'll just say this: as far as when it comes to the system we live in and how far this land goes out, when it comes to Antarctica, basically all they did was wrap a flat map around a ball. And how far this land goes out, I don't know. But I do know this: we live in a pressurized system, you know, and to have that pressurized system, we need containment. It's like a bottle of hairspray. You know, it has that pressure. It's pressurized. You break that pressure. And the same thing with us. So as far as it goes out, I think honestly, like General Admiral Byrd, him being high up Mason, being on TV, being propped up, he's putting some truth out there, but also some misinformation. Very classic of people that, you know, like the old saying goes with Albert Pike: whenever people need a hero, we shall supply him. And that's throughout history. If he's not going to make it to an admiral and say these words about supposedly, going past Antarctica, there's tropical land, there's forests, it's beautiful, and all this stuff. Well, let's look at it this way. I mean, how far would you need to go until you get to a tropical zone? You go from ice, you don't go immediately to a tropical zone. There must be a long distance he's going, and then maybe there's another, for example, theoretically, another puddle, another Earth, and it has its own system, own sun, own moon. You'd have to go a tremendous amount of distance before you reach that again. So this, what I'm getting at here is, to make a long story short, I believe it might go 200-300 miles to the dome. And as far as gravity is concerned, the word gravity comes from basically the word means weight. It means gravis. It comes from the root word of weight. Things just are heavy. Why do things fall to the ground? It's just simple. Things weigh more than the air itself. You put a scale, it's at zero. There's no resistance. You put something heavy, it's like this. If I weigh 500 pounds and I'm sitting in my chair and the chair breaks, it's not gravity. It's just I weigh a lot. It's weight. It's weight. That's why things fall. If I drop my keys, it's not some magical force in the center of the earth.
I think
pulling
Dreamer
it down.
and Bubba did that chair experiment, didn't they, Sal? They really did.
I thought he was getting personal with me. I'm like, where's the hate? Fucking RussianVids.
Go ahead, RussianVids.
Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to it. I mean, I believe in a creator. And think about this. Look at the oceans. There's salt water. There's tides. It makes more sense. Like, for example, how do you float a ball? How do tides work on a ball? It's like, imagine when you go to, for example, any aquatic type of amusement park with killer whales, when the whale's going around in circles. At one point, the swimming pool is higher, at one point lower, at the other point based on its circling around the pool. I believe it's like this. Again, the creator, saltwater oceans. Salt water is highly conductive. The sun and the moon working like a clock, circling above. They're basically dictating the tides. Again, salt water is highly conductive. We know the North Pole, so-called North Pole, is magnetic. A compass works. That proves it right there. It's not something I'm just pulling out of thin air. And also a huge thing is the constellations. You have the Southern Star. You have Polaris, of course, always right, above the North Pole.
Yeah, that's higher than the sun, right? Polaris is kind of the pinnacle above the firmament in your model. Is that
yes?
correct?
And what it comes down to is this. Everybody here is what it comes down to is this: the constellations, through thousands of years, through decades, through endless time, that recorded time, they never change. So when you look at a constellation, for example, the Big Dipper, it's shaped like a Big Dipper constantly. So again, we're moving supposedly 500,000 miles an hour through space, as this galaxy is moving 1.3 million miles an hour through space, through endless space. The bottom line is, when you look at star trails, the constellations of star trails and time-lapse footage, these are perfect circles with these stars. If we're moving at these tremendous speeds, it should be a blur because we're moving through space. So how are we seeing the time lapse of the stars above us in Polaris static? It doesn't make sense. And biblically, the Bible states, the earth shall not be moved. It's set on foundation. So they work off duality. Not to go too long, but if they tell us we're heliocentric, we're actually geocentric. If they say this world is very old, it's relatively young. If they say the sun is millions miles away, 9.93 million miles away, and large, it's close and smaller. So they work off this duality aspect. Why? The human mind can't go from A to Z because it's just too far for the human mind to reach at. It's like, we can debate how far is the sun. Is it 93 million miles away? Is it 80? When you start saying, it's about 3,000 or 4,000, people can't go there. It's too far. And that's why they teach off the principle of duality, of opposites. And it's that simple when it comes to this whole world system. We're basically monkeys living on a spinning ball if you believe in science. The whole evolution, Big Bang, removes God from the equation. So it goes much deeper than people can imagine. There's a spiritual creator that created this physical world.
Is the plane that we're on in your model, whatever the North Star, Polaris, and a firmament, what is on the other side of that firmament in your model that way?
Well, I find that interesting because biblically it talks about the waters above and the waters below.
Right. We've even seen that on The Simpsons with some predictive programming. Yes.
Well, there's many examples of that too. Besides The Simpsons, for example, the Hennessy commercial when they launch that rocket, it goes through water when it reaches space. That's why you see the stars like twinkle, like kind of wave around. It looks like there's like almost like liquid out there. There's also like this one everybody knows about Ichiro in baseball for the Seattle Mariners. There's a Japanese commercial, and no one else has this but me on YouTube, where he hits a home run, and this is based on a some type of cider drink in Japan, where it hits a home run, and you look at the stadium ceiling, and it's all like water, it's all wavy, it's water, it's liquid. There's an Indian cricket commercial with the woman. She hits a cricket ball, whatever you want to call it, and it shatters a glass ceiling as well. There's many hints they drop. Even watch a movie like Porky's. We all seen Porky's. In the beginning, where that one character's lying in bed in the very beginning, you hear the radio, talking. The guy, he's going through his spiel. Then he mentions the stars fixed in the firmament in a goofy, teenage comedy movie. So what I'm getting at is when you watch like movies in Hollywood, there's a lot of truth in there, a lot of Easter eggs of truth. Why? You're not just gonna walk into Hollywood out of nowhere and become a writer, director, producer. These are all Masons put into play. That's why you see 9/11 predictive programming, predictive programming with the Simpsons and 9/11. These people, all of them are in the know. George Lucas, all of them.
So you're saying if we want to get a show on sci-fi to search for Anunnaki gold, we got to join a lodge?
You got to, basically, you got to be part of it, or in a lower level, you got to just go along with the program. You can't, for example, there's many people that went on History Channel later to say, hey, I was on there giving the truth about this, and that. It was all edited out. They just kept what they wanted. So you go against the narrative, they're not going to use you. You got to go along with the program in every walk of life. You got to sell out to be part and move up further. It's like anybody that wants to get in the music industry. Say, for example, someone has a lot of talent, like, say, for example, Lady Gaga. She looks nothing like the creation she is now. So they found her. They said she has talent. We're going to shape and form her to what we see on TV. And if she doesn't sell out, that's why you have a lot of these one-hit wonders. They're not willing possibly further where their controllers want them to. They say, no, I'm not going to do that. I want some creative control where I go with my music. It doesn't work that way. You get into Hollywood, you get in the music industry, specifically music. Your singing songs are given to you. The look is given to you.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And they're signing paychecks. It's like pro wrestling, where you're in the independent scene. You could be your own character. You join the WWF, WWE. Well, Vince is going to have a say in that. You might have a little bit like, okay, you could add this, add that, but mainly the character is based on what he has an idea of what you want to do. So same premise with the music industry in Hollywood.
I mean, at the end of the day, Sal, it comes down to search for giants in Sardinia. Would you kiss Joey Ryan's dick?
That depends.
Well, that's not an answer I expected.
Yeah, that depends. Let's see. Well, I'm trying to see, is it going to get us all over?
Yeah, of course it's going
to. This is way too long.
Yeah, the answer is obviously yes. I mean, right, Stevie? Yes, right?
Yes.
If it's Sal, I would say Sal should.
You know what's funny? Joey Ryan recently posted something on Twitter about the Bobby Lashley and Lana segment, saying he was outraged by it. I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's like a joke. It's like a big joke. Like, he's like, oh yeah, what he's doing is not outrageous. What they're doing is, type of thing. I thought it was hilarious that he would post that.
You saw Cabana kiss him on the cock today?
I did not see that,
well,
but
I mean,
surprise me.
Congratulations. You got something to look forward to.
That's how he joined the club, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. That's how we get over. If we're going to go on this Giants search, we need Sal to take one for the team.
Stevie, that's what Sal. That's Sal's.
See, but I'm not as over as Cabana. Like, Cabana's everybody loves the guy.
Sure, but I mean, no one's seen the giant cock kiss spot yet.
Well, you know what? Give it time. Braun Strowman will win.
I know. Next week's Braun's gimmick.
Well, you know what? As a wrestling fan since 1983, I know they're always pushing the envelope. You gotta, any attention is good attention, and he knows how to work it very well.
Yeah. Also, Ben, honestly, just tying in, when I commented on that thing in the Hameen Media group today, people were like posting about Strowman doing the dance with New Day, and they were like, "Oh, look at here's your monster." Seriously, but it's exactly what we're talking about. He is going to do any stupid shit that's going to get him over.
Well, I don't know
And
if that's
he's-
getting him over anymore. I think that's
Do you-
him not taking care
Do you
of
not
his...
really?
Yeah.
Do you
Shock
not?
factor.
Sounds
You
a
know,
little
they want to do
biased.
shock factor, anything to get people talking. People, hey, take a look at this. You see him do this?
Right.
Yeah, anything.
I'm outraged. Look what they're doing to their monster gimmick.
You know what's
It
funny
doesn't
is
matter.
I believe there was a lot of symbolism in this hip shaking because it was a lot like the yin and yang of the sun and the moon and the flat earth model. So he's telling us something.
Not a lot of people know that was actually the Dance of the Destroyer Shiva that he was doing out there. That's if you really know the steps.
You know what, guys?
Let's move on.
Yeah, you know what's a good segue here is Vince McMahon and Freemasonry and the logo. You turn that WWE logo. People never ask, why is there no E in the WWE logo?
Because
You
get
turn
the
it
F out.
sideways,
Get the F out of here.
It's a
pal.
33. Also, the huge thing that people missed was that one promo he did with regarding Shane McMahon versus the Undertaker back. Was it I forgot what year it was. Maybe I don't know. Maybe 10 years ago.
Years ago.
Yeah, and he goes over about the miracle of Shane beating the Undertaker. It's like he said it was like the seas parting. He went over all these things. Seas parting, and the last one he mentioned was the Earth spinning on its axis. These are miracles. Only fools believe in miracles. So he's definitely in the know. And also you have the segments recently with Bray Wyatt talk. They show the ball earth and saying how you've been conditioned to believe it, and none of you people actually seen the ball earth with your own eyes.
Well, they even put the Freemason symbol. He puts the G
Yes.
and this compass and square in the quick thing with the whatever Anunnaki and lizard people and whatnot, and it's definitely in there with Aleister Black's stuff. 100% of what he's trying to get over is, I believe, far beyond 33rd degree, 90th degree Master Mason. And then their last bit where they try to do the girls breaking the glass ceiling and being able to be allowed into the boys club. Where was the boys club? It was on a checkerboard floor in a Freemason lodge with pillars in the background. All Masonic heavyweight symbolism in there, dude. And everybody's wearing, it's a black and white party.
Well, you know what's funny is Stevie, you remember this. We went back and forth so many times over the years, going back probably 2008, 2009 on Facebook. We, going back and forth extensively on so many things. He threw this at me. Stevie threw this. He got some inside looks at the prior to WrestleMania 3, basically the Firmament Dome entrance. And I made a video on it, which received like over 100,000 views based on a lead he gave me. So, we've been talking about this for a very long time about topics and prior to Flat Earth, but getting to Flat Earth 2015. I remember first telling you, Stevie, we're not living on a spinning ball. And he goes, nothing surprises me. I mean, we live in a crazy world. And I remember his response, it was like outrage.
The one thing I saw, and Jacob Israel is a friend of the show, and I think you're familiar with his YouTube channel as well,
yes.
RussianVids. We both, because he smartened me up to that back when he was the writer in WWF before WWE, because he said, look at these black boxes over here. And I'm like, I pass by them every day. And he said, no, they're black cubes, first of all, and what's written on them. And I was like, dude, I never noticed 666 is written on the box. And he walked me around the arena, and there were 4 to 6 boxes that were positioned in the same exact places at every TV, like surrounding the arena.
6 boxes will give you a pentagram, right?
5.
Well, you unfold the box.
Just spray paint that
if you have
there?
one in the middle, that's the fucking...
Well,
they always put one out there to set up the ring and stuff.
You know what's funny too?
Which is
funny too, Steve? I think I showed you this video with that clip with your good friend Dustin Reynolds. He has that skit with R-Truth, and it's about pizza. And you look behind them, and there's a box with a 33 on it. You can see it's like taped on, like fresh tape with freshly put on there. They love putting those little Easter eggs in plain sight. And Vince McMahon, listen, it's like this. Masons run this world, and you're not going to have a non-Mason be put on, of course, a billionaire, put on TV and just do random things for no reason. There's always going to be social programming. They love their little Easter eggs and conditioning the masses and mocking them at the same time. It's like this, we're kids. I hate to say this. The dumb kid, we always put that, hey, kick me stupid on their back because we thought they were dumb. Well, that's what they do to us. They're doing that to us daily. with fake news. Like real quick, not to deviate, but like for example, I covered this one shooting hoax in Louisiana, and you could tell these are basically all crisis actors. This woman's all dolled up, lying on the ground. She has her hand between her face and the concrete, so she doesn't mess up her pretty little face. She supposedly got shot. Well, at the end of this whole little spiel about the supposed shooting at Bunny Park, they had the ending credits for this video, and the name was Michael DeMocker. You got to be freaking kidding me, Michael DeMocker. So it's not a chance. It's not by coincidence. And so it's not just one piece. It's if you look at the footage, you can tell how fake it is. There's people that are supposedly emergency workers, EMTs with their hands in the pocket. There's no sense of urgency, and then you see that. So I don't just go off by one thing, but we definitely have to get a numerology and whenever you guys are ready for that. But I don't want to.
I'll tell you for sure. You could tell by my career, just watch anything on YouTube. I was not a fucking Mason in WWE. There was no chance.
Well, that's weird, right? Because we kind of went past that, but I had to bring it back we've talked about Aaron Stevens. We've talked about Idolizer on here, man, where it was in print. You could find him becoming a 32nd degree Mason holder of the Scottish Rite, which supposedly, through our research, means you accept Lucifer as your savior at that point. You're given the gift of some secret to behold 1 degree away from the top. So if he's that level and WWE's not taking care of him, it seems like if he was one of the top Masons that they would want him there. That's a weird thing to me that they wouldn't protect each other like that.
Well, again, I feel like it's I don't feel like the WWE is Masonic. I feel like they're their own entity. He is too, like, to me.
How could they not be? They just put it in Bray Wyatt's gimmick, dude.
No, but that doesn't mean anything. This is what I'm saying.
Oh, come on, Sally. Come on, Sally.
Hang on.
To the chat,
Here
Joe
we
Rogan.
go. Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Somebody's angling for a job.
Here's my deal. The same way, like, somebody magically caught a ritual at CERN with dorks wearing robes with sneakers. Stop it, man. They didn't catch anything. They caught guys being corny knowing somebody was up there, or they did it themselves. They didn't. That wasn't leaked. That wasn't secret.
There,
somebody. Yeah.
So, the thing is, you don't understand is NASA and CERN are like the same kind of deal. They're just sucking money at the taxpayers. They're not doing anything real. It's all fantasy. It's all theatrics. But getting back to Vince McMahon, good friends with Donald Trump. Trump's a Mason. Okay, you see Trump with his orange face, orange makeup. Even the lead singer from REM was saying, "Oh, look at that orange clown." If you get a close up of Trump's face, he literally has like orange makeup on his face. Why? Orange, just like your shirt. Orange is the only color in numerology that is 33. So they're obsessed with this 33, and I can keep going on and on. For example, here's something quick I'll throw at you guys. The towers. Construction of the North Tower started in 1968. Towers come down in 2001, 33 years. Here's another thing. The 9/11 calling system went into play nationwide in 1968. So you have the coinciding of these events, just like 60 years of the day, the groundbreaking for the Pentagon, September 11th, 1941. 60 years of the day, it gets attacked. 10 years prior, in 1991, George Bush gives a speech on the New World Order. You got to be kidding me if you can't see all these people. Also, too, the huge thing is with Macho Man and Hulk Hogan's promo about tearing down the Twin Towers. When I first saw Akeem and the Big Boss Man as the Twin Towers, I'm like, these guys are more wide than tall. So I'm like, the Twin Towers, I can see like Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious, Twin Towers, yeah. But these guys, they're just trying to fit it in and talking about bringing down the Twin Towers and I'm just telling you guys, without a shadow of a doubt, Vince McMahon, and Vincent is a 33 name. So is Kennedy. Trump's real name is Drumpf. Drumpf is a 33 name. So they have all these individuals. It's like a game of poker or game of cards where, the higher ranking of cards you win type of thing. And for example, I'm going off in tangents here, but a lot of celebrities, fictitious names based on 33. Like, for example, someone like Joan Rivers, she was born Joan Malinsky. That Joan Rivers is a 33 name. So they see, when we see, for example, like Fox, like 20th Century Fox. Well, in numerology, Fox is 666. Just like triple X porn, the XXX, Those are 3 6s. You have to see the Pythagorean numerology chart to understand this. Like Kmart is like 11. The KKK, K is 11th letter in the alphabet. 11, 11, 11, 33. Just
Let
like
me
the
ask you a
311
quick question.
band. There's so much of this
Russian
going
Vids.
on.
Yeah. What, just for people that are listening, you keep hitting the 33. We've never gotten an official reason, or I've never seen an official definition or reason why the number 33.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked to clarify that, Stevie. And what it comes down to is this, people might laugh, people might snicker, but a huge thing is in the biblically, there was 33% of the stars, the angels that were thrown to earth, with Lucifer. So when you see the White House, what's above it? You look at the street design. I kid you not. Anybody could look at it. It's a pentagram. The stars, the Hollywood stars, they're called W. Vince McMahon got rid of wrestling or wrestlers. He calls them superstars. It's based on the War of the Stars, like Star Wars. It's the good and bad stars, like the good and bad angels type of thing. And so it gets in the realm of a biblically, but you have to understand, everybody has to understand the most powerful Freemason of all time in the U.S., Albert Pike, a Southern general, he basically created the KKK. This man is buried in Washington, D.C., his own mausoleum. And that's how powerful this man is. And he basically said that, he worships Lucifer. And here's a big thing about Masons too. He talks about how lower level Masons are deceived. They're intentionally deceived. And only those at the highest levels, the adepts, the sages, they're the enlightened ones. And a huge thing, I won't go into too long, is a very famous Freemason in Manly P. Hall stated, once mankind learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. It's not seeing things, it's seeing through things. So, I see Sal kind of like shrugging things when I talk a little bit. He's not in agreement, but that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything, Sal. That's perfectly fine. But this world is not what we think it is. It reminds me of that quote from Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. We must unlearn what we have learned. And the problem is people can't start over. It's like, I've gone down this path of life, and you're telling me nothing's what it seems. I hate to break the news to you. That's exactly what's happening.
Well, I just want to clear this up, that it's not that I'm not, in no way, shape, or form am I saying none of this is true. My point is, sometimes a number is just a number. Sometimes a color is just a color. I am the last one to say I will not change my point of view. But there are certain things where it's just kind of like, all right, that's an interesting take, fair. And I give people, that's what they think. I have no problem with that.
Well, let me say this, Sal, and real quickly. Yeah. It's like a knife. Like you said, numbers are just numbers. It's like a knife. A knife could be used to kill someone, of course. A knife can also be used to free a whale that's trapped in nets. It's about purpose. It's about who's using it for what purpose. So you're right. It's all a tool. For example, I was 33 years old once. That doesn't mean I'm a Mason. But when you see a pattern, for example, the record number of hours on the moon by astronauts is 33 hours. Why do they bring Tang to the moon? Tang is the only color in numerology that is 33. So they code things with this color and numbers, and it's not just a coincidence when it comes to this number 33. Bill Gates, he foresees a global pandemic, and this is all over the news. So they code things definitely, and we must separate coincidence from purpose.
Right. Well, here's the thing too. Back, we were doing promos way back in the day, and Jim Mitchell, he is a noted Satanist.
Yeah.
Okay. He is more of the hedonistic kind, as opposed to the, I believe in the little horn man sort of shit.
He's like Aleister Crowley type Satanist.
Yeah, he's more
Anton LaVey type.
He's LaVeyan Satanist, more or less. So now here's the deal. He was doing a promo with Mikey Whipwreck, who Mikey and Tajiri were now Satanists, apparently, because they were with him. So they were burning things.
Classic Japanese Satanists.
Exactly. One of the promos, and they got on the air, was they were doing this thing, and Mitchell was going on, and he's going, Ibor Usantanis Firzak Rizuso. and he said it on the air. Okay, who got it? No one. Even the censors didn't get it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know,
Okay.
when
But
it
now,
comes
here's
down
the
to the
thing.
Satanists, Sal, we have to remember by default, Anton LaVey can never admit, or these Satanists can never admit that there's a literal Satan. If they did, by default, they're admitting God's real. So their whole thing
No,
is
well, that's the thing. He's a carny worker. The guy made up his own laws.
you're
And it
talking
was
about
meant
LaVey or talking about Jim
LaVey. No,
Well,
LaVey.
you know,
Well,
here's the
Mitchell
thing
kind
is,
of made up his own rules too.
Exactly. But the point is, sometimes people throw stuff in to see who picks up on it. Or if we're doing a promo live in the ring or out there, and you say something to pop the boys in the back, and no one up front gets it. Sometimes you just do it to pop someone. Sometimes you throw something in a movie, and you leave something out. Game of Thrones, the end of the fucking seasons, the pinnacle wrap up. They were leaving cups of coffee on the fucking thing, and things were getting, people got sloppy. Were they trying to put over Starbucks? Nope. People left coffee cups.
Wait a minute,
You know
they
what I
had
mean?
coffee cups in the show?
Yeah,
Like
they got
Game
left
of
in the shots.
Thrones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody,
They got left in shots,
somebody
bro.
in the set was like setting this beautiful set. And they left their Starbucks fucking.
And then they put a
on
Starbucks
the
cup.
table.
But sometimes that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes, okay, you guys are you're going on about Bray, about Husky. Husky's getting his shit out, and now he's they're like, oh, his stuff is out in the open. Yeah, because it's funny. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Ron Simmons? I'm sorry.
it's not his stuff. It's someone's giving this,
Someone else is doing it. That's what I'm saying. Like, do you think? Let me ask you a question. Do you think Ron Simmons and what's his head, Layfield? Do you think they had any idea what the Necronomicon symbols they wore?
Absolutely not. They're just, of course, they're just going along with the program, just like the Ascension, which recently released. But
the Ascension fucking know what's going on though.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. You sent out Ron Simmons and Layfield with Necronomicon symbols. Okay, what's the Necronomicon symbol? It's a made-up thing from H.P. Lovecraft. So what?
Somebody throughout the creative chain did know what that meant, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's all that is. That's a rib. Because who are you gonna have Ron Simmons be a cult member of a made-up Necronomicon?
Well, it's all about getting the message across, or getting out what your creative freedom, kind of like your art. You're putting out a message in your art.
You put out
some
dumb
kind
little
of
things
feeling.
to see if people know.
I can't.
So how about this?
Go ahead.
How about this, guys? When you look at the New World Order, of course, Ted Turner owning Turner Broadcast, TNT, TBS, all True TV, and people really. This is my take. And Eric Bischoff actually deleted me off Twitter because I said this. I said, Eric, you had nothing to do with the creation of the New World Order per se. This was something higher up. This is something higher up than you. How does a guy that basically was an announcer, a third string announcer, get to the pinnacle of running things? He's just a yes man, and he's just basically whatever,
He let his wife fuck everyone.
What's that?
What happened?
Well, what I'm getting at is this whole New World Order angle is not his idea. There was his first, he took it from Japan. He created it himself. No, I believe it was Ted Turner. And this is huge, where, again, this guy, when it comes to Eric Bischoff, he didn't even know who J.J. Dillon was during a podcast. He goes, I didn't know who he was until Kevin Nash told me about him. So how can someone not know much about anything, be put in this very powerful so-called position? There's higher people that promote it. So
you just explained the hierarchy. You just explained the hierarchy of every major wrestling company.
Yeah. They're all Freemasons. By the way, I'm more. We got to back it up. I can't believe. No offense against you, RussianVids. We always talk about it. Why do these guys sell so hard for anybody that criticizes them in any way on Twitter? Why is Eric Bischoff selling for anybody?
He doesn't block really anybody. I guess I hit too close to the core. He didn't like that being said. But what it comes down to is, here's the big thing is, I'm putting a lot of pieces together. We have to remember Eric Bischoff's group, they attempted to purchase WCW after the fall of WCW. And basically his group offered like 75, 80 million. Here's the thing is, and he was going to offer, I think it was like 25 million down, 30 million down. This man gets it for 2.5, and later on it turns out to be like 4 million. So it's about programming. They rather leave it WCW in the hands of someone that's a Mason that can control things. It goes deeper than just money, and that's why they said no to Eric Bischoff's group and $80 million. we're going to give it to Vince for pennies, on the dollar compared to. It doesn't make sense. In the
Or they
real
didn't
world,
like
in
'em.
business, you're going to take the big money. It's a business.
Not
So what's up
always.
with that?
That's the problem. Here's the thing. We read stuff and we look at things and we take it very literally. There is a lot of ego. You talked about ego before. If somebody had a boner for fucking Bischoff, fuck him. I'm not giving him shit. I would rather sell it for nothing than giving into him. Fuck him. Let him fucking die. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you look at a guy like Ted Turner. All right. Now, have you ever seen Ted Turner's End of the World bit?
Oh yeah.
He's got a video that he gave to all of his stations, and he said, listen, if the end of the world comes, play this. And it's like a 45-minute video of like America, and he does a sign off for the world, for the end of the world.
Yeah.
So this is the level this dude's thinking, that he actually took the time to do it.
Yeah, we have to remember, Sal, too. He has quotes over the years about depopulation and how there's too many people. So it goes along with the New World Order agenda. So I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. Things he said, the Georgia Guild-Stones, all these things. So I'm not just like, well, this guy has nothing to do. He's just a completely outsider from this. CNN is huge. The creator of CNN, fake news. And I said fake news. Here's the thing: is not to toot my own horn. Decades before Trump ever said it, I was saying news is fake. People said, you're absolutely out of your mind. I said, no, I'm not saying things don't happen in real life. It's just what they cover. They don't look for news stories. They create their own to control the narrative.
Yeah.
Just like pro wrestling, if you just let random things happen, the storyline can go anywhere. So their storyline is what they want the masses to go in a certain direction. And it's very easy. Just put it on TV. They're going to just follow. They're going to, for example, any mannequin challenge, ice bucket challenge, any kind of challenge, the sheeple will follow and do because they want to be part of the group. They want to fit in. I never did any of that nonsense. So,
for example, I'm sorry to cut you off today. This is a prime example of that. Today,
Sal got out of his car and did the Kiki challenge. Do you want to be part of it?
I was doing fucking. I was going with it. We had the news on in the background. I was right before, actually before the show, and this thing came on, this news bit, and they were treating it. They didn't say weeks ago. They apparently this woman went in an elevator and got fucking. She had her dog, and I guess the elevator went up, and the dog almost got caught in the. And some guy saved it, and they played it again on the news today, as in live. And my wife says, she goes, that happened weeks ago. Why are they talking about? And they're talking about it like it happened today. And like it was nothing new has happened, nothing has changed. But she says, she goes, why are they telling this one again? So they had nothing to do for the last 10 minutes of the show, and they threw this out again and actually just said it like it was real, like today it happened, not weeks ago when they first covered it. So again, they get to put on what they want to put on, and then at one point they're just kind of like, well, just whatever, just throw it in. We need a filler.
Well,
so now
the whole thing is,
that's
like
news
this.
now.
It's like this when it comes to the news. It's like you watch divorce courts. They don't show a single real divorce court on TV. All they shows are made for TV productions. There's millions of real divorces. That's how news works when it comes to national, international news stories. It doesn't mean, for example, a hurricane's fake or tornado's fake. When it comes to events where they spotlight and they give 24/7 coverage, it's part of their narrative. It's part of their master plan. For example, real things happen. There's a plane crash in Africa. They'll cover it. They'll give it 2 minutes. It's gone. They don't interview anybody. That's real. But what they're spotlighting is definitely propaganda based. And one thing I want to get into is one thing I forgot to mention about Sandy Hook. I want to throw it in real quick. Huge thing. Remember that one song all the kids sung for Sandy Hook? They all gathered together
at the Super Bowl. That's a big point of contention with Wolfgang, absolutely, and tracking those kids down, man.
Yeah, here's the thing. Here's a huge thing. They just so happen, of course, Wizard of Oz and Judy Garland's Somewhere Over the Rainbow. That was, years, decades and decades ago. For some strange, odd reason, they released an LP, a record of Judy Garland's Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And on the cover, it says Sandy Hook, and it also states, look it up, Google right now. Type in Judy Garland, Sandy Hook, and the title is Granny Get Your Guns. So what I'm getting at is this: all these events,
fuck?
They are scripted long ago, and from, like I said, Pentagon, 60 years to the day the Pentagon groundbreaking to attack. Here's a huge thing that I need to discuss. When you see that.
Yeah, because it comes up, Annie, Get Your Guns, category
That's the first
soundtrack,
thing.
label Sandy Hook Records. Catalog number SH2053, Sandy Hook release 5.3, release date 1981, Judy Garland, a 12-inch on a 33 1/3 RPM record.
Exactly. And also, so you had the kids singing the same exact song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, as that album. The connection with Sandy Hook. So these are like they're like evil masterminds behind all this.
Judy Garland, definitely a gay mafia property as well. I mean, you can put that.
She's just a puppet and going along with whatever, and there's
gimmicked out of her mind. She was the original, whatever it is, Britney Spears, to all Amy Winehouse, all of them. To Lady Gaga, she was a tone setter for all that kind of stuff. I got to go back and put heat on all you guys. Maybe not you, Stevie. But the fact that you're selling for McMahon, for Turner, for the Masons, all Freemasonry, religion, and I've said this before plenty of times, an atheist, whether it's Bohemian Grove, whatever they want to do, is a cover for closet homosexuality, whether Lars Sullivan is pledging this week or whatever. And it's a way for them to have blackmail on each other. They don't have any secret knowledge. There is no heaven or hell. There is no God or Satan. And it's the fact that they want you to be able to pledge something to a Luciferian light bringer. Now, if we're talking about the angels that came to the earth based on the scriptures, sure, I believe those are aliens outside of, forgive me, a firmament-based system that I don't, subscribe to fully, for a simple common man that may have been made by some race of aliens that wanted us to search for gold and bioengineered us in a certain way. So to sit back after seeing years of shit Vince McMahon ideas and to act like he has some tie with Satan that's going to give him ultimate power when I could write circles around him every fucking day of the week. Forgive me if I have any faith that they have some secret knowledge from an almighty devil source. And the reality is they were all tricked into playing tummy swords at fucking whatever Ivy League school they went to with secret piss on your head societies from some congressman where they're going to get some secret knowledge from Vatican child rapists who got a fucking telescope named Lucifer. I'm not going to sell for these fucking closet cases who act like they have some secret knowledge in a bookcase down in a basement someplace while they do murders and drink adrenochrome. They don't. They don't have anything over me. They don't have any fucking secret way the shit's moving. Now, if it is flat earth and they are a part of that and that's their knowledge and whatnot and I'm out of that, fine. There's nothing I can do based upon that to fucking change my situation in society. But as far as like giving them power of a darkness or a Luciferian, whatever, I refuse to sell for that and give them any hold over me as a greater entity. Because in my opinion, as an atheist, you're all a flea on the ass of this fucking big dog, whether it's flat, round, in the middle of space, whatever. And anything that makes you think you're important or God or Satan's talking to you is your own fucking weird ego that you're just molesting yourself on.
Well, Ben Heyman, I respect everybody's opinion, and that's one thing about me is I could talk to an atheist, a believer, a Muslim, whatever. I truly believe
they can catch heat too.
We have to look at the foundation of this world and how we were created. I mean, how do we, basically from evolution, you have two. Basically it starts off like this. Let me start from the foundation, from this disc. That because of the explosion, it's spinning, it forms into a ball. From that ball, we get moisture, supposedly. We get water. Then out of that water, we get these atoms, and we have these fish pop up out of nowhere. So two fish out of nowhere just mate and create and procreate. And then from that, we get bananas, we get flowers, we get slugs. It's just, to me, it's utterly nonsense. Here's a huge thing is, it's just an amazing coincidence that all the fruits and vegetables, seeds, nuts in this world are exactly what our body needs to sustain ourselves.
Potato seeds.
Fantasy, especially.
Yeah, and here's the thing is, here's the thing is they're pushing pharmaceutical. We need man-made stuff. We need vaccines because we're just an accident from nothing. So we're gonna need these things because there's no creator, and that means we just can't rely on. For example, I'm 46, never been in the hospital in my life. I haven't been vaccinated. I've never seen a doctor in my life besides once. I've seen a Chinese doctor at a natural Chinese pharmaceutical, not pharmaceutical, that's the wrong word, natural
Holistic.
natural Chinese herb store. And they had a doctor in there. He comes in twice a week. He checked me out with all these rudimentary tools. At 45, says, you're perfectly healthy. You're in fantastic shape. Again, never touch anything that doctors peddle. Here's a huge thing. And this is one thing I want to point out. And I talked to Stevie about this before.
I was going to say, did you touch StevieRichardsFitness.com? Is that why you were in such great shape?
Oh, please, come on. But what happened? It's like this. It's like here's a basic foundation of the lies of, for example, how they deceive even, for example, people in dentistry. They all went to their dentistry school and they learned how supposedly fluoride is beneficial. So they read the literature from the CDC saying that the benefits of fluoride. Here's the problem. You have a doctor, I should say a dentist of 25 years, come out and say, after 25 years of aggressively pushing fluoride, based on the CDC's information, I noticed my patients that refuse fluoride toothpaste have better teeth than the people that brushed with fluoride toothpaste. So what's going on here? So he went, for the first time in 25 years, he did his own investigations and found out fluoride is harmful and it causes dental fluorosis. So this is the problem. We all been brainwashed from birth, from teachers to doctors. They're told that they're the ones injected. They didn't put the vaccines together. The literature says it's safe. They're reading the literature. They're being lied to by the CDC, saying that fluoride is safe for dentists. So what it comes down to, getting back to evolution, is there's a creator. He's created everything for us. And if people just applied what he created, eat things in their most natural form, Stevie knows, you're gonna do a lot better than the atheist who freaking puts Pop-Tarts in a high C soda or drink in their son's or daughter's lunch pail.
Ooh, I don't know. I think you're on the wrong way there, man, because you're attributing bad health choices and whatnot to not giving a fuck of atheism, but the not giving a fuck of atheism is being free of it in anything in your postulate that you set up. It's the fact that you're bowing and worshiping to some of the same things. It's the fact that these preachers or whatever set up religion to tell you go that same way.
So what you're saying is the guys I know there are Bible bars. They're only made with the 7 grains of Deuteronomy, and they're made from. This is the truth. I'm not even making a joke.
I bet this
is a real thing, and they're made with the grains from Deuteronomy, and they're only made with Bible ingredients, things that are made from the Bible. This guy has a whole line of it. Okay?
Is it Ezekiel bread you're talking about?
Well, I think that's part of the line. Mm-hmm. So like that shit is super expensive. So if they were about the creator and Jesus and everybody else, wouldn't you make that affordable for everybody?
Jesus wanted you to pay top dollar through your faith.
Here's something I want to add in about this whole thing. It needs to be made clear is we have to remember when you attend university, college, high school, any public school, these teachers teach directly out of the textbook. When you go to church, they don't mention the biblical flat earth. They don't mention the Christmas tree is for example, forbidden in Jeremiah 10. They don't mention other aspects of the Bible that are right there in print. So they deviate unknowingly or unknowingly. They're not. I don't attend church. I believe, like for example, you have Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes, Benny Hinn. They're Masons put on the world stage to make believing in a creator ridiculous. So these people are like clowns. They're charlatans. They're transparent. So you know what? I'm going to be an atheist because we're more logical. We're cooler, and these people are a bunch of freaking idiots. Take a look at that haircut.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Yeah, pal. Now we're getting somewhere. That's all right. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So it's okay, Ben Heyman. It's okay that we disagree on this, and I can have a discussion with anybody on any topics. And I like people to be real about their thoughts and opinions, and not just I agree with you in the back of their head, like, oh my gosh, I'm going along with this guy. No, so I totally respect your position.
Well, what's tough for me, and I know there's what have you, because you're so open-minded against a conditioning system of schooling from 5 years old, and you have so much great breakdown and proof. I don't want to disseminate any of the hard work you've done, but then to turn around and buy in to some closet homos from 600 AD who didn't want to get burned at the stake as witches as the principle for everything you have going forward in there's a creator outside of us. I don't know how you can fucking shit on one and then bite into the other one. It seems exactly like Orwellian 1984 to be able to hold two diametrically opposing thoughts in your head of being able to justify things. One's a fantasy and one has real science that you can break down behind it.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. That's fantastic. I'd love to follow up with that and say nothing's hidden in this world. You know, so throughout all the lies.
You can't follow up. That's my I win. I have to end the conversation here. I beat you. I won. No, go ahead. Sorry, brother.
No, man, I know you're just messing with me. No, it's like this. It's like I said, you know, why would they do predictive programming? For example, tell us what's going to happen before it happens. Why would they leave so many clues? Like a lot of these quotes by like famous Masons, like Mark Twain, you know, saying things like, if you watch the news, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you do watch the news, you're misinformed. So these are like, you know, through all the lies, they're going to leave the truth out there. So what I'm getting at is nothing is hidden. So they're going to make the truth sound ridiculous. And of course, again, when it comes in this world, they're going to leave everything open. So it's for people with good discernment to figure it out. And we should question all things. We should definitely do that. And I don't have a problem with people doing that and questioning me and questioning everything. But here's a huge thing is, again, these are people working at a different level than us. For example, here's an example. They must tell us what they're going to do before they do it. Read or take a look at these facts. There's a book called The Titan, released in 1898, okay, called The Titan. It talks about this unsinkable ship that sunk off the coast of Newfoundland, 400 miles. It had didn't have enough life preservers. It hit an iceberg on the starboard side, sunk near midnight, the month of April. Guess what? This happened in supposedly reality 14 years later. These people are scripting what's going to so fiction becomes reality. And this happens with JFK, with 9/11, where they give us Easter eggs of what's going to happen before it happens. So we're working with people that are working at a different level that people cannot figure out. Most people cannot figure out.
Well, it's interesting because we've talked about that before of like, is there that Hollywood secret mirror where they get to see into the future where the Simpsons are predictive programming things? And Sal's laid down many times on here that he believes, even if it's going back to 1800s, that the artist mindset, the, whatever it is a conduit sometime to a future vision as it passes through him or her, the writer, whether it's all the fantasy stuff that he's read and whatnot. And it seems to me, maybe it was some predictive programming where they wanted to do this hit on the ship or what have you. But just when you said that, it took me back to Sal's point there. Sal, does that seem on par with what you're thinking?
Well, okay, so the way I see this, there are certain things that they have, in the way I compartmentalize it, they do have the files of, hey, we want to try this. So the Titan, the story about the Titan, it's super specific. More so that I would think that sounds like something they were planning, or however, this is the other thing we could do. The guy who was losing money read that book and went, fuck, wait. Like there's that little thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the dude read the book and was like, son of a bitch, perfect plan.
I've got a ship and insurance. Why the fuck not? We know where there's icebergs.
I'm losing my fucking shirt on this. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Well,
so
world events,
was his ex-wife on that ship? That's what we really need to research on.
Here's the thing is, none of us or anybody in that time period seen the freaking ship supposedly sink. We're taking their word for it. These known liars, we're taking their word for it. And also, don't forget, they had the Olympic, the sister ship that's never mentioned, side by side, built in Ireland.
Yep.
And there's photos side by side of them. And so what I'm getting at is, this world is nothing what it seems. One aspect I need to tell you, Ben Heyman, a very important point about this duality world, where, again, they tell us we're living on the spinning water rocket ball compared to the stationary flat earth, this duality. So I go down the line, reptiles in the Bible, reptiles, Science, reptile before birds, birds before reptiles. I could go down a huge list of these items. I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but I'll get to the huge thing. They're teaching us there's no God. We have no souls. They're working off duality. This is what they're teaching. Whatever they tell us, it's the opposite. So, I'm going to tell you, you guys can form your own opinions, but whatever they're telling us, basically go in the opposite direction. If they say vaccines are good for us, run. If they tell us, oh, we have no souls, there's no afterlife, that's what science teaches. Run. You got to, this is how they do it. Whatever they're teaching, it's the exact opposite. That's how I see it. You guys can take that information and apply it or not apply it. But that's where my stance is.
I think that's a great, lens to look at things through, and your channel absolutely embodies that in how you produce and how you try to leave that final message, man. And, we're here to cut the promos and be in the locker room tonight, man. I feel like you had a fair amount of fun, and thanks for letting me get my shit in on you to do the converse, man, because I totally respect what's going on. Stevie, I know you popped no less than 7 times tonight, so go ahead.
Yeah, if these guys claim that's hard to do, to actually get me to visibly pop and sell everything.
Just took a Ben Heyman.
Great to find. What's that?
They just took a Ben Heyman.
Yeah, Ben Heyman. I'll never get over that. But no, it was long overdue. We really hope to have you back, RussianVids, because the rabbit hole goes so deep, and probably there are some people that were like a little bit lost here and there, and some stuff was a little bit over their head. And we've had that talk before, that if people don't understand stuff, they have that cognitive dissonance. They have that visceral reaction where I don't need to hear this. I've been learning, and all I need to be learning. Don't be learning me no more. So, but we would love to have you back again and talk. And the fact that we can have a discussion and not agree on everything and still be cool with each other should be an example to other people out there. Just try to do 1% of the fucking same. My God. Yeah. Talk to somebody, listen, more importantly.
Well, better. I want to thank you, Stevie, for basically inviting me on. We've talked, like you said, for basically over a decade about these things, and I can say this flatly, pun intended, that you're ahead of the curve on a lot of things, going back and forth for so long, and in your position, you held back a lot. In certain cases, you got to be careful. Me, I'm just like shooting from the hip on everything. I don't. That's exactly why I don't show my face, my real name, all that stuff, and covering San Diego, Boston, all these events. But again, thanks so much for inviting me on, and I'm looking forward to any time in the future. You guys want to have me back on? I'll go.
Absolutely.
Just let everybody know your channel and where they can find you and follow you and everything like that.
Yeah, thanks again for that, Stevie. Is you can find me, of course, on YouTube under RussianVids. There's many copycats. I'm basically buried, but you're going to see me about 27,000 subs currently on this current channel. I'm also on 153news.net. And again, I know I've covered a lot. I maybe sometimes I speak a little bit fast at times. There's a lot to get in, a lot of information. Maybe you got to listen to this stream about 2-3 times to get it all, or just play it in a 50% to hear everything I'm saying clearly. But again, there's a lot to cover, and there's so much more, and we can. One show's not going to do it. We can do many of these shows and until infinity and not cover it all.
Obama and hot dogs, hot for 2020 or no?
Hot dogs.
All right.
Veggie hot dogs. I'm a vegetarian.
I was going to say
impossible hot dogs, meatless wieners. That's what we're doing in 2020.
Yeah, I'm a vegetarian, so I got to go with the veggie dogs.
I got to
man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, RussianVids, man, we appreciate you. All the content that you're doing, great creation, very digestible, you guys. And, go through and look. It's easy to scoff at Flat Earth. He does so many great angles, looks, and small takes of the science of it all. His latest video, very interesting, where he's got a model of the Earth, flat Earth, and then the sun and moon spinning around it, and how to show that it goes counterclockwise. But if you switch it to the southern hemisphere, it'll look clockwise in a way to break that flat Earth model. I was really interested in that. I'm going to watch that again. I think you guys should too.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no.
I want to say this real quick though.
Yeah.
I would tell everybody out there, when it comes to the information I provide, I don't expect anybody to get it then and there. It's like a meal. It takes time to digest, process, absorb, and information. 30, 40, 50 years of of thinking a certain way, it's not going to be changed overnight. So let it digest and come to your own conclusion. You might jump aboard 80, 90, 95%. No two people agree on everything, and that's expected. But again, just don't have a bias. Just look at things objectively and let the truth come out. That's how I see it.
Appreciate you, man. Sally, anything else you want to say, man?
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on. And again, having intelligent conversation with somebody and not, no, I'm not listening. You're not saying what I want to hear. It's awesome. It's awesome to be that way. And I thank you, and I appreciate all you're doing for us. Thanks.
No worries, son. I appreciate you as well. Thanks so much for your input. And it's good to have, I love talking to people with contrast perspectives. Preaching the choir is one thing. It gets a little stale to me. I love this platform where we have our own perspectives, our own minds, and we can discuss it all and come to new conclusions. It's okay to come to new conclusions based on new information that's solid, concrete.
Sure. And if they come after you like they did Tyler, know that you got allies here, man, to sound the alarm. You're not alone in the fight when it comes to free speech or truth seeking. That's my platform is yours when it comes to unity that way, dude, against anybody who tries to tear us down.
Appreciate them. Even though you're atheist, you're my atheist brother.
That's right, man. You don't have to believe in it, though, if you don't want to.
Yeah, don't worry, man. All good. And by the way, I want to say about those two goons, Disco and Conan, they need to pull their heads out of their rear ends. They don't know the difference between their butt and a hole in the ground. I mean, they're just stooges. They're just two stooges. They got a third one, that Joe Feeney. That's the third stooge.
Who?
Who's that?
Who?
Hey, I'll say this about those guys. They're not very smart, but they're highly entertaining with their nonsense that they put out weekly.
I think
it's just a riot.
I think aside from our clique, they got the best clique going, man, and I enjoy listening to them, and they get their shit in. Well, we're going to get ours in too, man. With RussianVids, you guys, Ultra Kayfabe, you know where it's going to be. You can't take us down, Stormy Daniels. RussianVids, we've got all the secret piss videos here at hackerhameen.podbean.com, brother. Appreciate you joining us. We're going to stick around and do pitch outs, but we look forward to having you back soon, man.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
Right,
Thanks again.
There he goes, guys. RussianVids. Stevie, thank you so much, dude, for bringing him on. I enjoyed the hell out of that conversation.
Yeah, that was cool. I was impressed with the story he told off air about when in Stevie's book, his little known book that people don't know that Stevie wrote. Stevie was talking with his carpenter during the assassination.
Yep.
His carpenter was Jesus. It was a pretty interesting story.
Well, what was crazy was when Jesus saw it, he was like,
"Finished the job either." I don't know what happened to him.
He went out and that was about it.
Yeah, he saw him get shot. He was like, Christ, look at that.
He's like, holy me.
Yeah. Nobody ever talks about Jesus's cupboard work or shelving work. Was he really that great of a carpenter? Could he really build anything like that?
Well, he used to make outhouses.
Well, I mean, did any of his stuff stand the test of time?
On his mind, there was something. He was privy to some information that was going down in the next few years, I think.
Well, don't be cross about it. Don't be cross about it.
Let's just put a pin in it. We'll come back to it later.
We'll come back to it later. Yeah.
We'll resurrect this conversation on their episode.
Well, unfortunately, no GGP running. Sorry, say that again, buddy.
I said too bad he couldn't crucifix the situation.
Yeah.
Love you,
man.
Jesus.
Yeah, not really though.
Such a landscaper?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Kayate. No GGP tonight, unfortunately. We thought he might do the late run-in, but who knows? With one of 47 kids, if one's got the flu, then they all probably do. So hopefully we can get him back on. Stunting the NFO podcast shirt tonight. I don't know if I have to produce this week's NFO. Looks like the former team is back together. I was glad that we could get in the Christmas spirit and reunite and take something off my plate. So I appreciate those guys for that Christmas gift. And you guys, you know what it is. It's New Year's Day. It's time to get your big fat ass off the couch. It's time to take those Dippin' Donuts and trade them in for Dippin' Salads and count your calories, get your sweat on, get your pre-workout on, and get the Planet Shit List and get that StevieRichardsFitness.com, man. 12 and 16 week resistance programs. Good sales so far,
now,
buddy.
How many weeks, like how many programs is that, Stevie? It's 16 weeks, but how many fucking programs?
Yeah, if you had 16 weeks, how many programs could I do in 16 weeks?
How many phases are in a 16-week program?
How many
with
phases?
4 phases?
You know what? You're very nebulous with your words. 16 weeks. like, what am I supposed to break that down into, like 4?
33?
That's
Is that go to
stupid.
33
I don't
weeks?
get it. Is it Masonic? Is that what the 16 means?
I am going to come out with the 33-week resistance band training program, along with flat earth, flat abs coming soon.
Excellent.
I have not touched that demographic yet, and I plan
I just want 33%
Dude,
of it.
It would probably, as a rib, to make a video like that flat and just use the terminology and do, like, you know,
you got to find
and renames all the yoga moves.
You got to find a place to do the yoga on, like a checkerboard floor, black and white, and
just do it at the Guidestone.
It'll sell. Yeah, outside Guidestone band workout.
Just do it at the Guidestones.
I got to go out to the Georgia Guidestones, dude, to do that ab workout in front of the Georgia Guidestones.
That would be great.
Be like,
be good.
Be one of the lucky 500,000.
Yeah, 6 pack abs.
Hey, you want to hear you know what? This is ironic. This all happened very quickly. Me and Chuck just were watching The Stuff. That's what we're going to do for
Buff.
That's Garrett Mars. I remember that
Chocolate Chip
like,
Charlie
stuff. Yeah.
Right. So this came about because a guy came out about the Impossible Whopper. Now, so here's the disclosure. I tried the Impossible Whopper. It's good. I've tried the Impossible White Castles. They're very good. Okay. Tried them. Number one, we started talking about, but this guy came out and said there's a lot of estrogen in the Impossible Whopper. Okay. And he's a vet. He's a veterinarian. Okay. So this discussion came up. This was amongst friends. This wasn't a Facebook fight. This was amongst friends. And the veterinarian said, "Hey, there's a lot of estrogen in this, something like 16 million times more than other shit." And he says, "Well, there's 33 or 38, whatever ingredients in the Impossible Whopper. There's one ingredient in a real Whopper. It's beef." Okay. Now, full disclosure, the guy is, number one, a cattleman. He owns a cattle ranch, but he's a farmer, like some sort of a cattle farmer, and he's a veterinarian. So he wants people to eat more beef.
Right.
But the question came up, is he not telling the truth despite having
he's got a direct interest, but he may actually be saying something that, you know, but he can be discredited. He got all the information
from the FDA. He's like, here are the chemicals because I asked them. He wasn't privy to anything special. He asked and he got. So this got us into the discussion of, first of all, whoever's eating Impossible Whoppers that much that it's going to affect them estrogen wise, you got issues. Number two.
Let's stop there, because let's talk demographic breakdown. Sure, people are going to try the Impossible Whopper, but those who is it really geared towards? It's geared toward vegetarians who would probably eat there and try that. That's what they really want to do. Right. Now, let's take the subsect of that. I'm not trying to, you know, put you into this, but if you're talking the urban, effeminate male who's already a vegan, who's proud of it, who, couldn't. Now, if we can load that small demographic up with estrogen, are they going to be more likely to become identifying as trans, going to have surgeries later, that's pushing an agenda away from everything? I just wanted to go down that rabbit hole real quick.
No. This is the rabbit hole we got into.
Yeah.
This is the argument.
Though. They cook the Impossible Whopper on the same grill.
On the same grill as a regular one. Right.
That's why it tastes
so
great.
Now, here's the problem. So we got into the discussion of, okay, would it make a difference to everyone? And I'll ask you guys, because say you've gone the vegetarian route, okay? And you can't eat it because it's got a face, and they're kept in horrible conditions, and they have disease and cancers and everything else. If they turned around, took the DNA from a cow, made it in a petri dish, the cow was grown within a week, made specifically for meat, and it tasted like meat, do you eat it?
Yeah. Will you eat cloned meat is what you're asking me.
Right. That's what KFC's been accused of, growing chickens without beaks and stuff like that just for the meat.
Yes. Now, do you eat it? Would you eat it?
Yes.
Well, Stevie, you can't ask you because you don't eat any of that shit anyway.
All you're talking about is the creation of life, which is sperm and egg.
Right.
If you're
but
fucking
this
doing
is,
it,
This is what I'm saying. We got into this discussion, and then we went.
as long as they're not changing DNA and structures, if it's the same animal that should be, whatever, a Kodo beef cow.
But now,
or whatever.
is it the same animal? Because does it have a soul? Does it have a life?
Fuck soul.
You know,
like he was
listen.
saying, we all have souls. We all have this. That's why I was trying not to heat them. We don't. We have a brain and we have a body that pumps this, that makes an electromagnetic thing that allows it all to flow together. And if when we die, this is nothing more than a shitty coil and it goes away, then you're back into the system at zero again.
I don't want to do this drive-by on you right now, but go eat your dog right now.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. That's what I was going to ask you. If they can
They
turn
have
around.
A personality is not a soul.
But cows have personalities.
Right.
But I mean, that's what I mean. Like, if you have a connection to
I don't have a cow. A cow doesn't sleep at my bed. Like, I don't have, like, deer have personalities too. They're shy and spooked. I fucking blow their heads off. I hang them up, cut their throats and nuts off. I skin them, and then I take their back straps out. I go put them in a frying pan with some fucking onions and butter. I don't have, for lower level animals on this planet, that is their fucking pecking order for me as a meat eater. Me loving them and having a response. If deer were coming up to me and going, you know, I really like you as my master and whatnot, then maybe I wouldn't fucking cut your throat. But if we're in the deep woods and you're doing flight or fight and I'm a stalker, you're going to get fucking touched with a 308 and end up on my plate at the end of the day.
That's fair. That is 100% fair. But like I said, this is what started our conversation.
He's got the WrestleMania fucking eyes, like we're face to face or some shit.
Sorry.
He's giving you the
I mean,
Hogan stare.
it's easy to do the, like, do you have empathy for animals? And I know you love Odin. I love all the dogs of war, but if there was a shit ton, if there was a herd of the dogs of war and everybody's eating them and they're delicious and I can go out there and hunt them, I've fucking shot squirrels out of the air.
I still eat meat, so I'm not saying that.
Sure.
I was just throwing the notion of
this
that
is
out.
where we came
you.
up with our horror junkyard idea for this week. We watched The Stuff. We watched a movie called Society, all about, are you going to jump on board? Because society says the stuff is low cal, it's delicious, it's affordable.
Soil and green is people, right?
Right. So that was the thing. Now this is our society where we're at now. So this is where the horror junkyard came up with this. This is all tapped in one day, and then I found it so weird that RussianVids brought up the Impossible Whopper as a trigger.
Yeah, I saw you pop. I was like, you're like, yeah, this.
Yeah, because literally it just happened. This whole thing just happened, and all this came about of if society tells you something's different. Like that's what we said. If and of course Stevie's name came up of if he would eat these, or if they can clone Odin as meat. It would be specifically Odin, but you find out he is a source of nutrition that you can do. Would you clone him to eat it if you had, for that purpose?
Oh, man, that's heavy.
Right. But this is the conversations we're having.
But if you can clone 40 Odins and you got one, and the other ones are out of sight, out of mind, and they're just getting butchered, and you can make fucking shit.
I couldn't do it. I'm telling you right now, I couldn't do it.
You can make infinite amounts of them, though.
Can't do it. I can't.
Okay.
However,
I'm not judging you. I'm not. That's fine.
I would 100%. And I know this is a horrible take on it, but well, not really. I don't care. If it was safe to eat people, I would much rather go kill people and eat them than kill an animal. Only because the lower life forms, we should be protecting them.
You couldn't shoot a squirrel out of a tree with a fucking 20 gauge and birdshot. Strip the hindquarters out of it and make some stew.
Am I starving?
No, you're at camp and you're hunting.
Nope.
Okay.
Let's be fair. If I'm going hunting specifically and we're going to eat all the things, then yes, I can do it. I don't have to shoot the squirrel. The squirrel's not going to nourish me. I can eat 60 squirrels, and then it would be a different story. To shoot one is shooting it for irrelevant purposes.
Right, to make stew, to show that you can kill and that you can hunt and you can fucking.
Now I know I can kill.
That's
I would much rather go kill a person.
Yeah.
Who can fight back or is deserving to be killed
and eat them. All right. Okay, I can't argue with that. So guard your grill, man. I mean, if you fucking think you're delicious, you just might be. Stevie, I hope you don't mind I jumped on you like that. But that's just my fucking.
I'm telling you, man, this is how our conversation happened, and this is exactly the point. It was, we all love animals, etc., etc. Some of us more than others, but then it turns into another philosophical discussion of, can we take the life? Should we take the life? What has a soul? What doesn't have a soul? We were all raised on eating hamburgers, eating, cow is what you eat.
Because cows are big and kind of stupid. Deer are elegant and pretty. Like, you know what I mean?
Go to Asia, go to the places where they do eat dogs on special occasions. It gets people hot. Can't do it. I couldn't do it personally, but it's the culture. So now you got to start thinking, what if these things like, they tried to introduce capybara, nutria. They tried to make that America's meat.
Right.
And it didn't work. Now you can go out and hunt them and get paid for it.
Yeah. Well, I was just watching The Watchmen too, future sci-fi-esque. And there's one scene where the one lady works at a dog cloning, animal cloning place. It's just, the Barbra Streisand future that they're trying to pitch. And it's actually her type of dogs, like mine that passed away. And she's got two, and she picks up the third one. She goes, does this one look the same? And they're pretty much identical, cute little tiny mini poodles. And the guy goes, it looks a little smaller than the other two. I mean, 1/100th. She goes over, puts it in the bin that looks like a dishwasher, closes it, hits the red button to green. You hear, and you know that dog's done. Like, they just go on about their conversation. Like, so, if we're talking about, we just talked about with RussianVids and what's in your Operation Mockingbird conditioning in your entertainment, they just incinerated a clone puppy to put back into whatever organic goo that they'll probably feed into a system to make the next clone puppies. And are you good with that? Whether it's meat generation, so in the future we don't have to have unsustainable means, for those reasons, whether it's cows and you can make the argument of cute animals that relate to us more versus are humans the predominant species on this planet, and we're going to do what the fuck we need to do to survive and move forward into the future. If that means cloning puppies in space to fucking eat them because they're smaller than cows and just as delicious, well, clone on, baby. Stevie
left. I'm here. I'm listening.
You ready for wrestling headlines tomorrow morning, buddy?
I'm ready. We lost a bunch of people, I think, due to the no, we kept them, but Russo's on right now with AEW.
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up here, man. I think it was a great show. We were gonna even try and do year-end wrap-up, but I'm glad we didn't. We just had more esoteric conversation instead of saying what we liked about McAfee, Fire Commissioner Christopher Joya. I mean, we had so many unbelievable guests this year, from Vinny Paz to Tommy Dreamer talking alien blue light stuff, man. There's almost every episode of the Horsemen in the last 2 years. We forget how important each of them are. So if you are a new subscriber and you're a new listener, a lot of these are evergreen or, ongoing parts of the story as it unfolds to us in real time, or as, we just have to look at it as we grow wiser to things. So I appreciate both you guys. Unfortunately, GGP not here, but thank you for an awesome 2019. Look forward to everything we're going to do in 2020, bigger and better, you guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for inviting me on, and
Inviting
again, like
I
said, well, back in the day when invite me on and let me get on this fucking board, get on board this train.
New Horror Junkyard shirt, is that dropped yet, man?
Not yet, but how cool was that? Right?
Fucking
I
awesome,
was
man.
Amazed.
Eric Elkent, new Horror Junkyard shirt coming. Yeah, man, where we're all featured in it, but Sal is outside your window tonight with a hoodie on, creeping. If you see an eclipse and you feel a tingle in your genitals, it might be him, you guys.
Are we? We're all featured in it?
Yeah,
you guys are all on the posters. I made sure that
there's posters on the wall in the kids' room.
And we started, we definitely had some.
I missed the Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with yours too, Stevie. That's good.
So the Horror Junkyard, was that conversation that you guys had today for an upcoming episode this week?
No, we had it yesterday. We had the conversation. It was me, Kat, and Chuck, And the funny part is, Kat grew up on a cattle farm, so she was firsthand watching these guys get slaughtered, and she had one as a pet. They had one as a pet, that they didn't kill, but now she's her own thing. She went the vegetarian route, and she's done her bit, and she won't eat pig. She's not Muslim. She just thinks they're smarter than people. So
they are, well, yeah. Do you think that her family was so lazy that they're just like, what are you gonna name that girl? Cat. We'll just name her Cat. I like cattle.
Cat. Right, we're done.
Good enough.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say no.
She would just say, bless your heart.
It just snowballed, and bless your heart.
My internet connection's unstable.
Yeah, so I had a completely different idea. This came up, and then you start bouncing. So yeah, the Impossible Whopper got some, and especially, like I said, I tried it and it was good, and I was like, I'm all right. But I said I've made this statement already. I've said this publicly. I like it, so there's something going to be wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something.
So something it's gonna give you a fucking third nipple or.
Yeah. Well, is it a Alex Jones make the frog gay scenario with 38 ingredients? Is atrazine and some other things in there that they're trying to slide in?
I mean, we feel like more shit's gonna come out about it,
right? Whether it's the same as
Impossible Company.
Yep. Inoculations or getting your kids. All that immunized. Like, is this another way to do it, to deliver the fluoride, to deliver some Trojan, thing that they want to get in people's body, whether it's them spraying it in chemtrails, and now we have super fires because there's aluminum in the forests. Why are these burning so hot? I don't fucking know. Maybe because you put magnesium in the goddamn fucking atmosphere, you dumb bastards. But, that's time for another show,
I would
Stevie.
also like to interject something.
Yeah.
I grew up in Queens, Rosedale, same as GGP. We had fluoride in our water. Okay, just going to point this out: fluoride in our water, and I'm 46 years old, and I have never had a cavity. Just going to say that.
Okay, but imagine if your IQ points were 6 points higher.
Oh, I know. Hurtful.
I know. Sorry, but you got beautiful teeth, and
you cocksucker.
You got beautiful eyes and teeth as well, Stevie. How's that beautiful elbow holding up?
It's good. Thank God, no surgery.
Good.
Elbow's injured pretty badly, but nothing that won't take. I don't know.
And it wasn't working, Guido. That's the amazing shit.
He now has mastered accidentally mental telepathy and telekinesis. And he somehow was like, don't hurt Stevie. Don't hurt. Oh, God, don't hurt the left arm. But didn't know that he was hurting my right arm. This thing was building up. This elbow has been on bad since like 2008. And it just built up to a point where it did pop. And the tendons.
So you just absolved him. See? You just absolved Guido.
Oh. No, but I've been working with him since 1997. He actually started in 97. The doctor said specifically, has a drunk Italian been wrenching your arm? And I said, wow, it's weird. Where'd you say that?
Yeah.
That's it. The Odin Christmas thing has to be a t-shirt, by the way. I saw the poster on the wall.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
The Odin Christmas has to be a t-shirt.
It's good. It's good stuff, man. Eric L. Kent doing awesome work for us, you guys. Just a great comic book artist. Did the Horsemen X-Men one, and now this new one for the Horror Junkyard. I mean, people were loving that one. You're going to love this one when you see it.
That's it.
Well, I mean, it's not it. It's StevieRichardsFitness.com. It's Stevie Richards on YouTube. 50,000 subscribers.
Oh, okay.
It's at BWO Stevie if you want to follow him on Twitter and never be responded to, and Stevie Richards on Instagram, you guys, to see all of the sexy rehab pics and Odin one-eye pics, so you can disagree with me and make sure that Odin's never cloned for food purposes and only hug purposes. Is that good enough, Stevie?
19 Odins in my home would be like a blissful, retarded existence. Like he's a little. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but he's the cat's kind of retarded.
Yeah.
And I love him. He just doesn't understand.
That's how Bandit is too, man. The Bandalorian. He's crazy, man. He'll get up, go from a deep sleep to like, I'll fucking rip your arm off, and I don't have any idea why, and I'm only 6 pounds. So that's how we do it, you guys, here at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen, hackerhameen.podbean.com. We'll be back early morning tomorrow, Stevie and I, with your Friday Locker Room Ultra Kayfabe transmission to catch up on all of your Lars Sullivan news. I'm sure we'll have plenty to say.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The new Master Shoot Theater is out, Raw and SmackDown review on Russo brand, and we're just going to keep delivering the goods here with you guys. So appreciate everybody who listened to us over the holidays. BigProWrestlingTees.com/SEG shirts/Stevie Richards/Bin Hameen/Greek God popping on 20% off here the first 5 days of the new year. So take advantage and grab our gear. There's no better way to support us on the platform and everything we're doing to provide for you guys the best in truth-seeking and conversation. Thanks again to RussianVids. Go follow them, and don't be too hard on them in the Flat Earth comments, infidels. Here at the Conspiracy Horsemen, YOLO. Give it a second here, and YOLO.